Well, if it is our wonderful podcast listener, the ones that all of us on Hams love the most. Dana here to give you a little gentle reminder to hit up our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and tune up that AC before it fully turns into crotch soup season. June through August are Standard's busy season for getting AC units up to snuff, so get ahead of the curve and have them ensure you don't have a summer where you pit out every shirt you own. Book in May during their pre-summer heat savings event, and you'll beat the rush and save yourself some walking around money. Call Standard Heating today or visit standardheating.com. Enjoy the show. We sincerely appreciate you checking us out each and every day.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
You gotta be kidding me. Who greenlit this garbage?
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Let's welcome in our next guest, our bi-weekly Thursday guest, Dr. Andrea Johnston from Gurman Animal Hospital in Minnetonka. Hello, Dr. Andrea.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Great to see you again. You know what we were talking about earlier? We and our listeners, if that's the proper English, we're trading animal attack stories. Folks talking about being bitten by dogs, cats, moose, cows, horses, goats. What am I missing, Josh?
Fish, sharks,
Alpacas.
Chickens.
Nobody
Chickens.
texted
They bite me.
I guess people said birds.
Fighting cock.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was one of them.
A lot of great stories. How many times have you been attacked, and by how many different animals, personal and professional? Like when you were a kid, were you bit?
No, I was not bitten by a dog until I actually started practicing.
Okay. Because I have a horrible story from my childhood. My dog tried to kill one of Josh's kids once. So you're never bitten as a kid.
No, I wasn't. My sister was when she was younger, but I will tell you this. I could never be a hand model. My hands are so beaten up.
Really?
Specifically from cats
Yeah.
and scratches
Yeah.
versus bites.
Well, I've never noticed, if that makes you feel better.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Weird coincidence here. I grew up with someone who became a hand model.
Really?
That's how I found out that was a job. I thought they were kidding. I didn't understand.
They're living on the high side of town?
Like if you have like a pump soap,
Yeah.
it would be her hand that's pushing the soap down in a commercial, something like that.
I'll be damned.
It's a thing.
It's a real job.
Yeah.
So you were never bitten until you started working for Real Skis.
Right. And I have some techs who and actually, no, I don't. I think all of our doctors have been bitten.
Yeah.
But some techs are very adamant that they have yet to been bitten.
Are you jumpy? I mean, do you get nervous, or is it just if you're doing what you do, you just know it could happen?
You can read the cues, but there are some animals that just don't give any. But we are frequent flyers at the emergency clinic because every time you get bit, you got to start antibiotics.
And
So-
that was the other thing we were discussing. We wanted you to, as a professional, obviously, to clarify this for us. The rabies process, how do I say this, Josh? Like, what does the animal go through when let's say it bites a child? What does the animal have to go through? What does the child have to go through? All the legalities of that.
So if they are not up to date on rabies, the city has to get involved because each city has different regulations against rabies.
That's what happened when Nick's dog tried to kill my kid.
The city got
Yeah.
involved. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
He's got the cops at his house and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, the emergency room called the cops.
Yep.
And they told us later, we have to. I
Yes.
had no idea until the cops showed up at our house.
Yeah. And they have to be isolated or quarantined for 2 weeks. Some animals longer, depending on how overdue they are on vaccines.
Okay.
Before,
If they are up to date, though, they can.
Yes,
Okay.
they can show, yes, I'm up to date
Right.
and have the vaccines, but or certificate, but they have to be quarantined or isolated. Some have to be quarantined or isolated, like at the station or at a like a pound.
They go into a real jail cell.
Yeah.
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 Well, we were talking about this because I've been to your clinic once.
Yeah.
When we were saying you're probably 2-3 years old at the time. And it was to bring Nick's dog. And because when the cops came, they said, hey, we got to take the dog. You can't get a hold of the owner. We got to take it.
Yeah.
And so luckily they gave me enough time to finally, Nick was out of town. He was in Hawaii. So they gave me time to get a hold of him. And then I brought him out to Gurman Animal Hospital.
Yeah.
So just because.
At 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was saying the vet didn't seem excited to be there at that time, but it was
I don't blame them.
very kind of him to show up
Yeah.
and meet me and take the dog. He had known the dog for a long time, and I know,
Yeah.
Nick, you're friends with
Yeah.
that family.
Known him my whole lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so luckily they didn't take the dog, but the cops said, we're going to have to do it if you can't get a hold of him.
I caught a lot of lucky breaks in that situation. Josh and his wife were so understanding. It was a total nightmare. So, and one more question on the topic, and then we can move on to some questions from our listeners. The process that the bite victim has to go through if that dog is not up to date, I've always heard it's just a terrible thing.
Well, so it's different than like a wild animal.
Okay.
I had a girlfriend who was walking her kids around the lake, and she looked down, and a bat was in between her kids on the stroller and hissed at her, and she swatted it. And her kids had to go through like the rabies prophylactic shots.
Yeah.
Like the 3 series at like 3 months of age. So wild animals are a little different. If the dog has been vaccinated, the person is fine. If they're not, each city or state has different regulations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my kid had to go through the shots.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So probably
She was 4 at the time.
Yeah.
probably overdue on the rabies vaccine. That's why. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be damned. All right, Dr. Andrea. Many people text in when you join this year radio show with questions about their dogs and cats. Here's one right here. Is it about that time of year for flea and tick medication for my dog and my outdoor cat? They want to know your recommended style, collars, drops.
Yeah, absolutely. I found a mosquito in my house yesterday.
Oh, no.
So heartworm we recommend year-round now. And honestly, because it's been so seasonably warm, and 74 last Friday.
Right.
Flea and tick should be used all year round, especially if they're around
really?
other dogs. Doggy daycare, you do not want fleas in
We
your
don't.
house.
We don't mess around with the
Yeah.
heartworm. I didn't know it was that big a deal, but one of our dogs
yeah.
had it, and almost died. He was a stray, and so he was. I can't remember. They had to keep him in a kennel forever because they
Yeah.
didn't want him moving around to get his heart rate up.
Yeah,
And,
they have to be exercise restricted for 6 months.
yeah, it was a long
Wow.
time.
Shots. And it's like $3,000. The drug is super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But I would do year round, and they now have combo heartworm, flea, tick, and intestinal parasites all in one.
All in one.
There's like
a shot?
NexGard Plus. It's a chew. There's
Oh.
Simparica Trio. There's Credelio Quattro, which is
Is there one
new.
you like?
Honestly, they're all very similar, just different manufacturers.
So you can knock it all out in one
Once a
pump.
month.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about a 3-year-old lab who randomly pukes 3 or 4 times a day? This has happened almost monthly, this person said. They believe that they're eating stuff in the yard, like grass, deer poop. How do we
Deer
get her to
poop.
stop?
Labs. They eat
know.
everything.
Oh, she also had Giardia. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yep.
And they want to know, would that make a sense? As a puppy.
So I actually just looked at my phone this morning. I have 2 dogs that are positive for Giardia, and it's so hard to get rid of. So I'd make sure that dog is cleared of Giardia, because that certainly could be the cause. They can be partially obstructed. I've seen dogs eat corn cobs and then vomit it up 6 months later. It's been sitting in that stomach.
Oh, heck.
Or
Rattling
you
around.
take X-rays and you'll see rocks in there. So I would get that dog checked out, considering there's a pattern.
Man.
Yeah.
And isn't that something? And I bet that dog was, just a happy character despite carrying a corn cob in his belly for 6 months.
Golf balls? We had a golf ball, and the dog came in for X-rays for something else, and we found the golf ball.
Oh, my goodness.
It's crazy. what
How
they eat.
miserable would we be if
Yeah.
you're carrying a golf ball and a damn corn?
I can't imagine.
Here's a question for Dr. Andrea. Is there anything about a dog's eyes that can be a hint that they are not well? Now, here's some background. This individual has a lab. Her eyes always look very bloodshot. I love the way this wraps up. As if she's not sleeping well or she has a drinking problem. Bloodshot eyes. Are the eyes a sign of...
Yeah, there's a lot of eye things they can get, just like people. They can get allergies. They can have pink eye. They can get conjunctivitis. It also can be an indication of high pressure in the eye, like glaucoma.
Oh.
So I'd get that dog's eyes checked out.
Okay.
They always check my dog's eyes when they do like if I bring her in and she's sick. And they said, I think they're like alertness. Does that sound
for
right?
Sure. You're looking to make sure they're not like listless or down and out. Responsive.
Eyeballs just kind of floating around. You know what I mean?
That does happen.
Yeah.
That would break my heart.
Yeah. Well, my Springer Spaniel had a stroke years and years ago.
Yeah.
What was that like to see in person?
She just was wobbling and then would just kind of flop down on her belly. And she trying to be herself, trying to get up. But, like stepping over very, very wobbly. and we were told she was having a stroke. I remember bringing her home, and Dr. Andrea, maybe you've used this before. They said if you have to, pile up dressers and things, like make a tight circle, because, something about her eyes, make as small a space as possible for her to be in. So I laid on the floor with this Springer Spaniel surrounded by dressers and stacks of clothing to almost make like this teepee for the two of us. And it passed after a while. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I don't remember if any medication or a shot or something, but she had a stroke, and her eyes were just swimming around in her head. It was strange to see.
It's usually, we call it old dog vestibular disease, where their balance system gets off, kind of like vertigo for people.
Yeah.
And their eyes, it's called nystagmus, so they go back and forth or up and down.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah,
that
they
is weird.
usually resolve.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and usually we give them like Dramamine to help them through it.
It was a long
Picture
time
like one of those googly-eyed dolls you could get.
Kind of.
That's what I pictured.
It was
too.
scary. I mean, I thought she was going to die right there on the spot. We walked in the house, and she was just, it was like a drunk coming at you,
This is from I Want a Bronco Jesus. How serious is an irregular heartbeat in a dog? My vet told me my dog could drop dead at any time.
I mean, just like people, right? If there's like ventricular tachycardia, if there's AFib, like a lot of old people get, I'd get that checked out because there are medications to help with arrhythmias. And they actually wear something called a Holter monitor where you put leads on them, like EKG leads, and they wear like a jacket for 24 hours, and they can monitor how often they're having that arrhythmia.
Sure.
That's kind of adorable.
Sure.
It is cute.
Is it true, Dr. Andrea, that male cats are usually the more in need of attention from their owners and females are more apt to want to be alone? And why?
I wouldn't say there's a breed predisposition to that. I mean, I had a nasty cat yesterday. It was a male, did not want to be touched. So
No.
I think it's just the personality of the
Okay.
cat.
Depends on the kitty.
What about feeding organ meat to animals? This is from Red Butcher Jesus, who said he's had a lot of customers ask for organs like pancreas to feed their pets.
Yeah.
The kibble's
No, just dog food, just regular
Dog
kibble.
food. Well, and he goes on to say that some people are saying, like, for example, the pancreas, that if they feed it to their pet, it can restore those organs.
Definitely not.
What?
So that's somebody
If that
saw
were the
that on
case,
the internet.
we'd be eating raw organs,
Yeah.
right? Like, I know.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Your grandpa's
Boxers.
liver goes bad. He eats a liver, and next day he's fine.
Who
All
posted
grandpas
that
love
on
liver.
Somebody posted that on Facebook and someone ran with it.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
That sounds like a good way to turn your dog into a werewolf, feeding it bloody organs. My
Well, I will
God.
tell you this too. I have a lot of clients that their dog is anemic, and they will feed it like liver or things that are high in iron. Doesn't help.
Okay.
Don't do that.
All right.
Yeah.
People they hear rumors, they hear
Totally.
stories. This sounds kind of scary, but also it's an adorable name, I have to admit. Dr. Andrea, what is little white shaker syndrome?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, we see that in a lot of like Westies, West Highland White Terriers, and it's a breed predisposition where they can actually have an abnormality in their brain that causes them to tremor.
They tremble, they tremor. And it's deadly? Or?
No,
Oh.
typically not.
Okay.
No, but you got to rule out all the other things before you say it's little white shaker syndrome.
So little white dog just kind of trembles,
Yeah.
and it's concerning, but not overly concerning.
Typically, they have a normal life.
Huh.
What about this from I Would Do It Again Jesus, who has a blue healer? We had a blue healer mix.
They're crazy.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. 5 months old, super hyper, chewing on the baseboard, shoes, leather couch, floor, sticks, rocks. Is there anything we can do to help that? He said they have almost every bone, chew, rope, and dog toy made, but the dog prefers to eat the house.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 5-month-old dog. That's very common because they're teething, 1, and 2, it's a high-energy breed. I would get that dog into agility. That is very common for that breed, and maybe it might stimulate the dog and wear it out.
We had a boxer blue healer mix.
Oof.
I love that dog, but my goodness, that
That's
thing
a
was...
breed.
Yeah,
So you're talking about
he had a motor.
running the tracks like you see on television?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's so
they're
cool.
very smart with that, and it would really stimulate that breed.
Unbelievable when you watch
So
some of
cool.
those animals dogs operate on that, whatever they want to call it, an obstacle course. And you know what? I don't know about you guys, but the first thing that comes to mind, I always say there's no way I could keep up with that friggin' dog.
I think about that every time.
Because the
yes.
owner runs with them.
Oh, yeah, it's a workout.
I'd end up with that AFib that Dr. Andrea was talking about.
Do you know what my daughter and I watched the other night was Best in Show?
Oh,
I've never seen that.
She had never seen it.
That's a riot.
It is the best. I
I've
forgot
heard it's
how good it
hilarious.
was. Yeah, it just reminded me of that.
Or is it kind of the announcers that make that movie? Is
all
that,
of it?
That's
The
what everyone
Bumblebee
talks
and
about.
Those are all the clips I ever see.
My favorite characters are Eugene Levy and his wife. Is it Catherine O'Hara?
Yeah.
They are so funny. Best in Show is
Yeah,
a
it's
great
the
movie.
best.
We are back for more with Dr. Andrea Johnston from Gurman Animal Hospital. Plenty of pet questions coming in from our listeners. And Dr. Andrea has nailed it so far, as usual. And I want to compliment our listeners again for some really great questions this morning. I mean, not that other weeks you've been terrible or anything, but just especially great questions like this one here. My promiscuous dog is pregnant, says a listener. What should I have ready at the house for when the time comes?
Oh, man.
What a hussy.
A lot of work. A lot of work.
Yeah.
You need a whelping box, so you either can buy one or make one
What
to
is
keep
that?
the puppies contained
Okay.
in an area where she can labor and deliver.
Uh-huh.
A
A whelping box.
whelping
Oh,
box.
I've seen those
Yeah.
in videos. Yeah.
Would it be the same for a promiscuous coworker who recently announced she was pregnant?
Yeah, we'll get you a whelping
It's a
box,
whelping
Ashley.
Really, they do. I mean, nature, right? They really do it on their own. It's
Right.
messy, just like making sure it's clean so they're not ingesting each other's feces and all that
Oh,
stuff.
God.
A
Do
friend
they-
of mine's mom works as a whelper, and there's times where she's like 24 hours straight, with
Yep.
the dog. And it's a process. It's not just we got puppies, fun.
I've never heard of that.
I
Yeah.
haven't either.
It's like a doula.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And so that's what somebody does for a living?
Well, she's a volunteer at a dog place, and that's part of what she does. Is she's helps the pups. There's dogs that are going to become service dogs. So the puppies that she whelps are then going into training to become service dogs, in prisons or for
Cool.
people with disabilities.
Never heard that term before. One more real quick. One of the questions about what do I get ready for when my dog's going to start pushing out puppies, is it true that I should not touch any of the puppies right away? Mom might ignore them.
Yeah, I mean, they can neglect their puppies, so I would be sure to let her do the majority of the, caring for them.
Moving them around.
Yeah, I think there's a few important things. One, to make sure you count the puppies before they're delivered by having an X-ray, so you know how many to expect.
That's a good
Because
one.
if they get stuck, then mom can get really sick.
We had that problem when we were kids.
Yeah, and then make sure they're all nursing.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
When Megan Marie, the best girl in the whole world, pumped out 10 puppies, 2 of them didn't make it. One of them got stuck, and we didn't know it until it was too late. And the other was not able to nurse. It had some kind of a
cleft palate?
kind of an abnormality. But the 8 that survived were wonderful.
Is it true that some dog mothers, or is it fathers maybe, they'll eat them?
I know that's true for polar bears.
Oh, that's awful.
The male will try and eat, try and eat its baby.
What?
I think there's a lot of animals like that in nature.
But maybe not golden retrievers?
I've never seen it.
That would just be so. I heard that once, and I was like, that would be
But I will also
horrific
say
to witness.
it's not very often where the male and the female are together when the puppies are born. Usually people are
Right.
using a stud.
All right. Yeah.
Here's
Yes, Cubby.
Here's a question from I'll Try Anything 4 Times Jesus, and I'm curious to know this too. Do vets ever perform surgeries on mobsters like they do in the movies, like a gunshot wound here and there?
I mean, we'll see gunshot wounds. We'll see that. But
Never on a mobster?
never on a mobster.
Crappy eyesight Jesus. She said, I'm a disabled gal, quote unquote, blind. Also in a financial difficult situation. I have a puppy, 6 years old. She's everything to me. Is there any way to get her the typical vet care she needs when you don't have an expendable income?
Yeah, I mean, there's Mission Animal Hospital in Bloomington does an amazing job. They work on a sliding scale, so I would recommend hitting that up in Bloomington. They're great.
What's it called? Mission
Animal Hospital.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Is it common, Dr. Andrea, for pets who are acting very sick at home to suddenly start acting normal when they get to the vet just because they're scared and their adrenaline kicks?
My car does
hate
that.
when they do
Yes.
that.
110%. I
Yeah.
hear that every day.
That makes me
this
so
is the best
mad.
she's looked in 3 days.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because they're just amped up and their adrenaline's up. And Yeah.
I never would have considered something like
we
that.
see it all the time.
That pets could be great actors.
That's why I always try to take videos and pictures of them before they go to the vet. To be like, yeah,
smart.
see,
That
she's
is
lying.
I never, ever would have thought of that.
Yep.
Best husband ever, Jesus wants to know deli meat. Is that okay for dogs? It's the only thing my GSD will eat his allergy pills with.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything
meat's
in
okay?
moderation.
I'm a fan myself,
Yeah.
I love
miss
it.
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Kind of hope you're going to say it's bad for dogs, and that just means more for me.
Yeah. My dog likes to bite people's pant legs. Flowy pants or bright colors are a definite target. Now, that in just amateur opinion, a dog sees that and it looks like a moving chew toy, does it not? Like flowing pants.
My dog does that with wheels or anything that spins. So it must spook the dog for some reason. I would just be careful with that dog if they're having people coming over.
So a skateboard goes by and your dog wants
he
to.
tries. My kids on their bikes, you know. If I spin in a chair in our house, he goes
even that.
nuts.
Wow.
Man, that dog's going to lose some teeth or something at one point.
But he tries to attack the chair just like the dog's probably attacking the pants.
Sure.
Behavioral thing.
I that's like old school, right? That's like what you saw on television when you were a kid. A dog hanging from someone's pant leg, you know, and you try to shake him loose.
Purple Belt Jesus wants to know 3-month-old Belgian Malinois puppy who's had diarrhea over 2 weeks. He's been on medicine. Scared to change food again. Any suggestions or good gut food you recommend?
Well, 2 things. It's a young dog, so I make sure it doesn't have parasites like Giardia. And then 2, you could do a bland diet. There's prescription bland diets. EN, that's a Hills Purina, Purina EN, Hills ID. There's a variety of different foods you could get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Andrea, you've done a great job this morning as usual. One more quick question.
Yeah.
Your opinion on, here's a couple that are looking at a Chihuahua Beagle mix. We're wondering your thoughts on this mixed breed.
Wow, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's really cute.
I bet it'll be noisy.
Big personality and very vocal, is what I would say.
Oh, man.
And will want to eat.
With Chihuahuas, my experience has been they are either the sweetest thing in the world or just the straight devil.
Yeah, land shark. We call them land sharks.
There's no in between for those things.
Wouldn't you say the same thing about beagles, sort of? I mean,
Beagles are just, they live forever, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But they are obsessed with food and very vocal.
Mm-hmm. A buddy of mine's got one. He had 2, I think. No, wait a minute. He's had 2 separate beagles over the last 25 years or whatever. And I swear to God, I used to live 6-8 blocks away from him. I could hear that damn dog.
Believe it.
I
could
love that they're like
over
that.
traffic. I could hear that damn dog.
Yeah, they're loud.
They like to let you know that they are in the mix.
Do you see many Chihuahuas?
Oh, yes.
Do you really?
Oh, all the time.
I never see them.
Yeah, we see them all the time.
Like at dog parks or just walking around. I don't see them very often.
They come to the clinic a lot for
Do
nail
they?
trims.
I like them.
Oh, because they
I think
won't let their owner trim their nails. Oh.
Because of Taco Bell? Is that why? I love the Taco Bell Chihuahua.
You like the gimmick?
Yeah.
I just I don't know. A lot of folks don't like the tiny little Chihuahuas. I want to be bros with them.
I've been seeing a lot of pugs.
Oh, yeah.
I see pugs
or
a lot.
puggles, beagles and a pug.
Oh, it's so
Oh,
cute.
I don't know if I would recognize. Did they look like
They
a
do. They
pug?
just have a longer nose.
Okay.
But they look like a pug.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of different. Sounds like fun to me. Dr. Andrea, thanks again.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. We'll see you in a
Thanks.
couple weeks.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thanks again for all the questions. Apologies for the ones we couldn't get to. I mean, this really, it gets kind of crazy, all the texts that come in for you, Dr. Andrea. So thank you for those that sent it in. And once again, sorry if we didn't get to yours. Maybe next time.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
I could use some poontang myself right now. The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Do you want a couple of jokes that I found on social media? You want me to throw them your way?
I love jokes.
I was on the Chive yesterday. I do like to hang out on that website, the Chive. There's college girls in their underwear. Sure.
I bet that's the number one website you go to.
I do
Chive.
spend a lot of time there. Like I said, there are college girls in their underwear. But also plenty of other fun articles to mess around with. And one subject they brought up on that website There was a couple things that grabbed me yesterday. Number one was a conversation topic. If you have just 10 seconds to ruin a first date, what would you say? You have just 10 seconds to ruin a first date. What would you say? And then folks who hang out at the Chive left their comments, left their ideas, how to ruin a first date in 10 seconds. There were one that really cracked me up. I wanted to share it with you. Okay, if you have 10 seconds to ruin a first date, what would you say? One chiver, I think is how they put it, answered this way. You say to your first date, how many meters away would you say that school is? And the other, does anyone know where you are right now?
Oh, jeez.
That would be absolutely terrifying to hear.
Like, is there anyone that knows that you're out with me? Anyone?
Yes, everybody.
Is there anybody that would miss you by any chance?
Ashley, did you ever do that move where you might have a friend be also at the bar that you're meeting a new guy at or something?
No, I probably should have, but
I've been the phone call where I've had a girlfriend say, hey, call me at this particular time.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they'd say, I mean, this is pre-text, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they'd have an out. Like, oh, I got to go. That was my boss. I got called into work or whatever, if they needed it.
You had an agreement with a gal friend of yours.
Yeah.
She was going out on a date.
And I'd call at a particular time, maybe let's say half hour into the date or whatever, and then she could have an excuse if she needed it.
I was terrifyingly too trusting of complete strangers when I was dating.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was actually just the other day, I was thinking about this guy that I went out on a date with, and then he drove me home. And as he was driving me home, I fell asleep because I was tired.
Oh, yeah?
And eventually, I woke up, and I gave him the wrong directions. I remember doing that. I was like, oh, shoot, actually, I don't live over here. I live over there. But I was thinking, he could have took me anywhere.
Yeah.
I was passed out.
You fell asleep or you passed out?
I fell asleep. I was very, very sleepy.
And before you fell asleep, you gave him the wrong address to your home?
Yeah, it was when I was in the process of moving. I was moving around.
So then when you woke up, where were the two of you?
We weren't that too far, or that was weird. We weren't too far from where I did live, but he was just going in the wrong direction.
Okay.
I was like, oh, wait, no, you got to turn around. It's actually that way.
It dawned on you this man was a complete stranger before you went out on this date. So it was a blind date?
Yeah.
Do you realize, Ashley, you could have woke up on a table covered in cling wrap like out of Dexter?
Yeah, and I think about that. Or even my now fiance. Obviously,
Covered
we were
in cling wrap. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds great
it's
coming out.
It's great if you watch Dexter.
Never saw it.
My now fiance, when I first met him in person, we were obviously messaging for a couple weeks before I met him, but I just went over to his house at 11 p.m. at night. I thought, whatever. What's the worst that could happen?
That's a booty call, right? You realize that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of people who have been doing that for years now with that Tinder. You want to bang? Sure. What's your address?
But you shouldn't be doing stuff like that anymore.
No, you should not do that.
No. I was way too trustworthy of men that I had no idea who they really were.
It's a dangerous game to play.
Yeah.
I can say, Ashley, that I also took some serious friggin' chances. Serious chances. Not only with one-night stands, but blind dates. And I had a couple of blind dates where they were probably capable of murder. Really freaked me out a couple of times. So Josh also falls in love with strangers, but in a different way.
Yeah, a lot different. I was going to say, if you wanted to ruin a first date, maybe you propose.
Oh, God.
After an hour, this is going so well.
Mm-hmm. Some people might like that.
Dana and Ashley, you guys were recently single. Dana, you probably will be soon again.
Of course.
Do they? Do you guys stalk the online? Look up a ton of stuff online before you go out with somebody at this point?
I have a very good friend that's a lawyer, and she's good at that type of thing, and she does the research for me.
Also, she does do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was
creep.
one where this was a very random late night Instagram thing. She messaged me, "Hey, I think you live in this neighborhood. Can I come over?" And I said, "Sure."
And you had no idea who it was?
No, I looked at her photo. She was cute. She came over. It was great. But then The next day, I had my friend look her up, and she goes, "Yeah, she's got like a prior domestics and DUIs. You should probably steer clear of this one."
Okay, so that answers my second question.
Domestic incidents.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I was going to ask if you guys ever found something where you thought, oh, that was a close one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what about you, Ashley?
I never found anything, but I would creep quite a bit to the point where I probably ruined a couple of the first date questions.
Because you already know the answer?
Yeah, like I already know your mom's name.
Yeah, I know where you went to middle school.
You have 3 sisters? All right, not news to me.
After my fiance and I went on our first date, I had my friend look her up. I go, "Hey, the date went really well. I really like her. You know, do your research." And she comes back. She goes, "Bad news, Dana." And I go, "What?" And she goes, "She's too clean. There's got to be something behind it. She's too clean. Not even a parking ticket, Dana.
Man.
She's too clean. There's got to be something behind this."
I had one encounter. That's the word I'm going to use, where it's not really a date, it's just an encounter. Where then, I don't know, a couple months later, and I think we only encountered each other once. A couple months later, her ex-boyfriend was in the papers for some violence.
No.
Yeah, made the paper.
So it's bad.
And I thought, maybe I'll stay away from this one. If this is the way her ex-boyfriend behaves, he's in the friggin' paper for choking folks out or whatever the hell he did, maybe I stay away from this one. But there was the other. Now, that was an encounter. Back to blind dates. I did set up a blind date once over the telephone with a gal who promised she looked like Janet Jackson. And I said, "Control." In the end, she looked more like Freddie Jackson. No, honestly, there was one blind date where the gal told me, "Meet me at this bar. You'll know it's me because I look a lot like Lindsay Lohan." And I said, "Wow, wee."
Oh, and you were, at one point, really into Lindsay Lohan.
Yes. And I went to the bar, and I did 6 laps around that joint, and I didn't see anybody who looked like Lindsay Lohan. You want to know why, Ashley?
Why?
Because she looked nothing like Lindsay Lohan.
More like Freddie Jackson.
No.
It was more like Freddie Jackson.
I didn't see that coming at all.
Control.
I remember that story.
Yeah.
That's so bold.
I drove up to stinking, I don't know, Malacca or something. I don't know. Drove all the way. Lindsay, she looked like Lindsay Lohan. I said, "I'll be there a half hour early."
That's like me saying, "Hey, I look like Megan Fox. You'll know when you get there." I'd be like, well, "Okay."
Yeah, I had half a beer. I lasted half a beer, Josh, and I walked out of the joint.
You think she really believed it, or she was trying to reel you in?
I think she was crazy enough to believe it.
Oh, is that right?
Control.
Yeah, that's a good tune.
Yeah.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
You know that jerk across the street who's always got it in for me? Every year, that guy waits to see what decorations I put out and then finds a way to top me. I string lights, he strings better lights. I put out Frosty, he puts out an Elf Village. I put out Dracula, he does nothing, and I look like a jackass.
93X.
For starters here, Josh, we got another one, plain and simple. A terrible, disgusting, awful human being. At least the following allegations say so. I have to make clear. They're just allegations. But, once I read about this character, I can't imagine anyone just simply making these types of things up out of nowhere. You guys tell me. So this alleged, awful, disgusting human being, somehow he made his way all the way up the ladder to become a police chief. To be specific, a police chief in New Jersey, if you think that makes a difference. And it might. Multiple officers have come forward to make complaints about the chief, a feller by the name of Robert Farley. So here's what these cops say. They say that Farley engaged in a series of disturbing behaviors around the office. Things like pulling down his pants and his underwears to push turds into office trash cans in front of the entire police force. Picture that in this building. We're walking around doing whatever we do after the show's over, and someone insists on making a turd into a trash can sitting right outside the room here.
Now, we do work on the U of M campus, but we don't work in a fraternity. So It would be quite surprising if someone decided to do that, although people have pulled poop pranks in this building before. Adults.
Poop pranks?
Poop pranks.
Like, I don't remember any poop.
Pooping on the floor, the dog poop incident we've talked about where our old boss bagged up some dog poop and put it in a cubby.
Somebody pooped on the floor?
Yeah, well, there's one guy that pulled the most poop pranks.
What?
A grown man took a deuce on the floor in
Yeah.
this building while I've been, like, in the last... When the hell did this happen?
Oh, gosh. Probably maybe 2010 to 2012-ish is when he worked here.
He
Oh
did it
my
on
gosh.
purpose. He
Yeah.
did it on purpose.
Jail.
And he would send photos. Do you remember this
No,
guy?
I have no memory of this at all. A grown
Yeah.
man pooped on the floor.
Oh, yeah, a couple times.
I don't recall this at all.
Yeah, and he would send photos of what he made quite often.
After he took the photo, did he clean it up?
Oh, I don't know. Somebody found it, so I'm guessing he didn't go back in. I was just told somebody pooped on the floor, and then later he sent a picture, said, surprise, guess who?
How in God's name did I never hear these stories? All right, this is just the beginning. Josh is sending me this person's name. I remember the guy. I have no memory of these stories at all.
Yeah. He kind of got a reputation for it. I don't think he sent you the photos. Maybe that's why. I was kind of jealous of his regularity. I mean, it was, for a while, almost daily, and I thought, my God, your digestive system, I wish I had it.
Did you shame him?
I was young enough where I think I thought it was pretty funny. But the poop on the floor I did not find funny.
You should never poop on the floor.
No, you shouldn't do that.
And you should never be the poop photo guy. I love gross out humor almost more than anybody, but I don't need pictures of your poop.
No, I'm with you on that now. Well, even then I didn't like it, but I did think it was kind of funny. I was poop bombed right off.
Poop bombed.
So this is the chief of police. Right in front of the whole police force, he would drop a coiler into a trash can. And apparently this happened on multiple occasions, and he would also refuse to clean it up. He would expose himself to people. He would spike the office coffee pot with Viagra and Adderall.
That's a hell of a combo.
Yeah, that doesn't sound pleasant.
We've had spiked bait lunches here. Old general manager spiked a lunch once with X-Lax.
Right, I remember that. And this guy would, this is how they put it, smear his bodily fluids, God help us, on his coworkers' belongings. One cop even says that this Farley guy chased him around the office and then stabbed him in the pecker with a hypodermic needle.
Yo, what?
I hope that he never exhibited any of this behavior until he became chief and thought he was above the law. Because how do you promote a guy like that if that's always been his thing?
Yeah, maybe he got a little bit of that power and went right to his head and think, hey, now I can start pooping in garbage cans.
If there's any silver lining, yeah, that's it.
So Farley, again, the name of the police chief out there in New Jersey, apparently he was targeting those who spoke out against him. One officer by the name of Alex Guzman claims that the chief mailed sex toys and gay pride flags to his home. So the chief is one of those "you're gay" type of dudes, like we're all still in high school. You know you're dealing with a really stupid person when all they can come up with is "you're gay." That's an embarrassing lack of creativity. Oh, the chief also had some really original racist material for one of his coworkers. I'm sorry?
Very respectable.
Yeah, he sounds like a really good guy.
Yeah, he keeps getting better and better.
He would shave his body hair and sprinkle it on people's desks, sprinkle it on people's food.
Yeah, this dude needs to be locked up in a facility of some sort.
Yeah, it's surprising that this is one person.
There's
versus other people trying to gross each other out.
Right.
And escalating it here.
There's only one bit here that I approve of from this Farley cop. He would set off firecrackers under people's office chairs while they sat in them. Now, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'd see the humor in that.
But also, he'd clog toilets on purpose. This guy never developed beyond 7th grade. I don't even understand this one here. He would put hot sauce in the microwave. This is how they put it in the story. He would put hot sauce in the microwave to create an office-wide chemical attack that required a fire department response. What in the hell are we talking about here?
I suppose it evaporates and the fumes get you? I don't know.
Well, we got a microwave. Do we have any hot sauce?
We might have some, but it's probably from the late 90s.
Well, that makes it even stronger.
This dude took the chief gig in February of 20 and then 24. So he hasn't held that job terribly long. He followed in this makes a little more sense now why he would act this way. I mean, not complete sense. It just makes a little more sense. He followed in the footsteps of his father and grandfather, who were also the police chief. So that tells me he felt like he was entitled to do whatever he wanted to do because his dad and grandpa were former chiefs.
Yeah, maybe a touch of nepotism there, too.
Investigations are underway, Cubby.
Sounds like they maybe could have started that a long time ago, but at least they're happening now. I mean, just one of those things. You're going to be hated by your co-workers or employees in this case.
Crocs with Socks Jesus texted in to say, this guy sounds like he's never had the experience of being punched in the face.
Yeah, maybe we just learned why with the chief father and grandfather.
I always like to add this when we talk about these relentless, fully grown, adult bully type dudes. If you're being bothered by someone like this, if you've been bothered by someone like this, or if you're currently being bothered by someone like this, just know, because it's the truth, all of these supposed tough guys who are still pushing people around like it's 7th grade, they scream, cry themselves to sleep every night.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
I tell the kids that. They are the most miserable person.
The most afraid people also.
Terrified. They, some of them, sadly, probably have some very bad home lives. But, yeah, they're not, like, above anybody. They are severely, severely troubled.
Every terrible thing they do is because they're scared little kids who are unable to live a grown person's life in the real world. They take their childlike anger out on you because they're jealous that you are confident enough to be yourself. Tell them that.
Yeah,
Tell them that. See how they react to that.
Hopefully nobody has that in their life, but if you want to see any evidence of that, just pick a website. Read some comments. Get a Facebook profile.
Pick a website.
Any website will do.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Well, if it isn't our wonderful podcast listener, the ones that all of us on Hams love the most. Dana here to give you a little gentle reminder to hit up our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and tune up that AC before it fully turns into crotch soup season. June through August are Standard's busy season for getting AC units up to snuff, so get ahead of the curve and have them ensure you don't have a summer where you pit out every shirt you own. Book in May during their pre-summer heat savings event, and you'll beat the rush and save yourself some walking around money. Call Standard Heating today or visit standardheating.com. Enjoy the show. We sincerely appreciate you checking us out each and every day.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Skins, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1. Nightly Scroll with Haley Caronia.
I'm Haley Caronia. I scroll with the homies here in the live chat, and I love my long scrolls on my phone at night. The show is literally called Nightly Scroll. My screen time has reached astronomical levels, but I do it to get all of the videos and all of the content that you won't find anywhere else. I don't want to be surrounded by an echo chamber, so I hope you join me. Someone just said the show is great. Keep it up. Thank you. I will.
Nightly Scroll with Haley Caronia. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
I want to be wined and dined at 69.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Here are apparently the top 16 best old man phrases, according to the folks at Barstool Sports. These are fun. It reminds me of some of the older cats that I socialize with or used to socialize with before they passed. And maybe some of us use these terms too. And it kind of reminds me, when I say them out loud, Josh, it kind of reminds me of old television programming from the 70s and whatnot. Old man phrases.
I have a feeling my dad, or a lot of things on this list.
All right, let me know.
Oh, yeah, my dad and uncles, I'm sure.
Let me know. Here's number 1. Newsflash, buddy. I got a newsflash for you, son.
Cute. Yep.
Number 2. Maybe, I believe this is related to paying the bill at a restaurant. I use this one. Can you guess what it is? Anyone? Paying the bill at the restaurant. What might an older cat say to the waiter or waitress?
What's the damage?
What's the damage? And then what if the number, the price, is a little higher than they expected? What do they say then? I got one guy. I got one buddy of mine who's a little older, uses it every time. He gets the tab. It's a little higher than he expected, or even if it isn't higher than he expected, he just loves this line. He'll say, "What, did I break a window?"
Oh, my gosh, yes.
All right, old man phrases part 3. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
I like the Megadeth cover of that song. That's excellent.
I do not.
You don't? Nah, you're crazy. You've lost your mind.
I never liked that one. This one's had a resurgence. Let me sneak past you.
Whoop, let me sneak right past you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say that quite often. And I try to stop so much because I know it's like a typical Minnesotan thing to say. But it just comes out of my mouth every single time.
You were born with it wired into your... some of these are very predictable as far as old man phrases go. It's not the heat, it's humidity. It's the humidity, sorry. It's not the heat, it's the humidity. Ready to rock and roll?
Oh, and you're ready to leave?
Yeah.
I use that one.
My dad says that so much.
I use that one for sure.
Kind of slap the thighs a little bit as you're saying it.
I leave the rock end out of that sentence. Ready to roll.
Oh, yeah, I say that too.
Rolling. That was a big thing with my old man. We were always rolling. We're rolling, boys. Let's get rolling. So I don't really, I don't include the rock and. All right, Josh, you ready? You in what army? Oh, yeah? You and what army?
Yeah, a lot of these are like movies and TV I remember from.
Oh, yeah. You come in, you've been out all night, you look like hell. What does the older person say to you?
Look what the cat drug in.
Look what the cat dragged in. I hate to burst your bubble. This is related to, this next old man phrase is related to, say, a snack food that they can't get enough of. They open up the bag of chips and they say, these are dangerous.
Oh, my mom and dad say that so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So much. And then at the end, get these away from me.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, in 50 or 60 years, it's going to be ridiculous, this old man phrases list. You know, skibbity and things like that. It's going to be completely insane.
Gross.
The Riz Master, the Rizzler. What's the latest one they keep saying is, was it on my mama, on your mama? It's out of control.
What are we doing? Where do we go with that? On my mama?
Yeah, it's on my mama. Everything's on my mama.
Oh, that's on my mama.
Yeah. It's not even in this way that makes sense.
No, I'm sure it isn't, yeah. It probably has nothing to do with maybe your mother covering the cost of something.
No, has nothing to do with I'm swearing on my mom. This is the truth. It's not, at least the way that I hear it used.
Oh, really?
It's for everything.
What the heck does it mean then?
Nobody knows, Ashley.
Old man phrase number 11, cool your jets.
Oh, I used to get that a lot when I was a kid.
Working hard or hardly working?
I remember the first time I heard that. I was working at a grocery store, and one of the managers came up to a bunch of us and said that. I thought it was pure genius.
Like you just came up with it on the fly?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought he came up with that.
You like that one?
Oh, yeah. And then I remember the first time I ever heard someone say, sorry, I blew up when they didn't blow up. And that was also at that grocery store. Same guy. And I thought he was just a comedic genius, not realizing that these were phrases that already existed. Even so, he pulled them off perfectly.
My friend group and I are all big on apologizing for blowing up. I remember, okay, of course, working hard or hardly working. What about this one? Are you working or jerking?
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, me either.
Don't mind if I do. He's another one of these old man phrases.
Benjamin said, damn, I'm 29 and I say all of these.
You must hang out with some good people, some older fellers.
Josh, another one I remember when was first said to me, I thought it was brilliant, and that the old guy came up with on the spot when he said, he told me, I'm not a smart fella, but you sure are a fart smeller. And I thought that was brilliant.
That one turns my stomach a little
That's
bit.
pretty gross.
You're a fart smeller. When an old guy's driving and someone in front of him doesn't use their turn signal, they say, nice blinker, pal.
I use that often.
See you later, alligator.
After a while, crocodile.
And the final on this list of the 16 best old man phrases, and this was 100% my old man. And there's more layers to it, even. Answering the phone by saying, yellow.
I use that.
I'm a yellow guy. I got
used
it
to
from
be.
my... But what was so interesting about my dad using it was he drove truck for yellow freight. And at times, when the phone would ring, when the trucking company was calling my dad to work, they called the home phone. Sometimes my dad and I would answer the phone at the same time. And it was so interesting to me that my dad would say, yeah, yellow. And they'd say, yeah, John, this is yellow. And he'd say, yeah, yellow.
I stopped that with when it became, when everything had caller ID. Then I didn't say, I stopped the yellow because I already know who it is.
You no longer...
Yeah, I'm aware who this is. It's not a mystery.
You've dumped an official telephone greeting altogether, and you just say, hey, Donnie or Ronnie, or whoever's on the line.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never done that. It's always either yellow or hello.
Even when you know who it is?
Yeah, every time.
But when
I'll answer the phone and go, hey, Ashley.
That's
that
that's
kind of
true.
thing.
You totally do. I've never noticed that.
Yeah, you do. I guess I still say yellow. Josh, better pack a lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Another old man phrase. But when we were kids, Josh, we both had a similar experience. When we were kids, how did we answer the phone and why did we answer it?
Oh, you'd say your last name.
No.
Yeah, we'd say hello and then the last name.
Well, no, something you and I had in common. Hello and the last name.
Yeah. Like if your last name was Johnson. Hello, Johnsons.
Sure. No, you guys did that?
Yeah.
Oh, we never did that. I'm talking about you and I had a shared experience. When we were kids, we both had a gimmicky way to answer the phone.
Oh, shallow.
Shallow. And we got that from who?
Yeah, from Good Times.
JJ from Good Times. First time I saw him on Good Times, answer the phone and say, cello. I thought it was the coolest thing in the friggin' world. So if you called my phone in 1979 when I was 8 years old, I would say, cello.
That's adorable.
Here's a couple other old man phrases I thought should have made this list. Pert near. At least on my dad's side of the family, the older folks, are you guys familiar with that one?
Yes.
No.
They would say something, boy, it sure is.
Like I'm pert near 50 right now.
Right. Boy, it sure is hot outside. Yeah, pert near 90. Pert near.
Never heard that word before.
Oh, this is a good one from Gutter Slut Jesus. His favorite line, his mom always told him that he's not the dumbest guy in the world, but he better hope that he doesn't die.
Another route my dad would always take, and fellas from his generation, a guy. They would always say things like, now, why would a guy do that? Or, let's say we're talking about technology. Hey, I got you a Nintendo Wii. My dad would say, well, how does a guy put that together? A guy. They were always referencing this guy.
I didn't realize this was an old guy saying. This person says, old guys like to say, well, we got here at the right time when a line starts to get long at a restaurant.
That's one of those ones I hate myself when I say it out loud.
Oh, I say that.
I do too.
Why do you hate yourself?
I don't know, because it is kind of an old, it reminds me of just like my dad or grandpa, you know?
Oh, yeah. I never realized that was an old person line. Maybe that's a sign I'm an old person.
Because when people say that, you look at them and you're like, yeah, clearly.
Oh, no.
I'm here too.
I had no idea. I'm a damn fool.
Also, commenting on the weather, too, to like a stranger in public just makes me feel like my old man or my grandpa.
Oh, Dana.
Sure, because we needed that rain. That's for sure.
Every time I say, it wouldn't be too bad if it wasn't for the wind. Like, who am I?
Steelers fan Jesus said his dad used to say, I didn't lose a leg in Nam for this. He's 61, has both legs, and was not in Nam.
That's awesome.
How about evidently? Also one that rings for me. My dad's side of the family. That's where I heard that a lot. Evidently this, evidently that.
Not the sharpest tool in the shed from Medical Device Jesus. Yeah, heard that before, directed at me.
Oh, wow. Who the hell would say that to you?
Uncles. They're very abusive mentally. How about that boy's about as sharp as a bowling ball?
Mm-hmm. I'm being told there is a bluegrass act out there summers, and the name of the band is Pert Near Sandstone. Maybe that's pert near where they're from. All right.
This one. My dad's famous for saying, I'm not heating the outside when he'd leave the door open. My dad would say the same thing.
Oh,
I love using that on my fiance.
A little NSP. That's what we heard around the house. How about a little NSP around here? That's because at the time, I believe the electric company was Northern States Power, NSP.
That was yep, we had the same one.
My mom still calls that bill she pays every month. They don't have NSP anymore, but she still calls it that. I find it so adorable.
So when we'd leave the lights on in the house, which the old man hated, he would always say, hey, how about a little NSP around here? Or he would look around the house and see all the lights on and say, God dang, I'm going to own NSP.
Yes. Oh, that takes me back.
Asking for a friend, Jesus said, if I had $1 for every time my dad said, they'll let anyone in here, when one of his friends or family walked into any room he was in, I'd be able to afford to live in Wyzetta, he said.
I'll tell you, I still hear that all the time. Speaking of Wyzetta, at the Wyzetta American Legion. Who left the door open? They let everybody in here. Anybody.
Oh, I've said that before. And that's one of those, Dana, where I'm like, geez, that is such an old joke.
Or when you show up to, like a fancy, like a wedding or something, you're wearing a suit, like, oh, you clean up nice.
Oh, that's another one. You're right.
I got another version of that. It wasn't so respectful when you show up to a wedding or a funeral dressed up nice. The older guys that I know would look at you and say, it's like putting an earring on a pig.
What about this one? Were you born in a barn? Used to get that, too.
Oh, yes. I got that all the time.
If you're messy, you'd hear that one.
Can I hump your leg for 15 uninterrupted seconds?
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
So much of what you see on the internet, the trendy terms for everything on earth, everything has to have a title now. Oh, you're ghosting me. Oh, give me another one. You're gaslighting me, and you have to ask, okay, what does that exactly mean? This might be a lot of them don't pay off. This one is fun. Boomer asking is when you ask a specific question just to lead the conversation to be about yourself. That's boomer. You're asking someone a question, but you only do it so it can come right back to you and you can talk about yourself. So try to boomer ask Glenn Perkins or Top Flight a question this morning, Josh.
I wouldn't have the courage to do that because obviously I want to hear what they have to say. But at some point, I do want to boomer ask a question.
You could
to
ask
someone.
Glenn Perkins today, in the middle of a conversation about, say, maybe the Twins pitching staff. You could say, so who is your favorite guitar player from Whitesnake? And he'll
Because
say,
I love Whitesnake and I have opinions
And
on
you
it.
have
That
an
might be
opinion
going
on it.
too far. That might be going too far. But you can always tell because they're chomping at the bit to wait for you to get done answering the fake question so they can talk about it.
I have way too many people that in my life where I can tell right away. They'll send me a text message, hey, it's been a while. How you been? And I'll respond, yeah, things are good. And then all of a sudden just a response, just trauma dumping like 9 things on me, about things that's going on in their life. Oh, okay, so you just wanted to tell me about what's going on in your life right now.
I think that's just a way to open up a conversation sometimes. This is making me think of just like having regular conversation. Isn't this just how regular conversation works?
yes, but I think, Ashley, the next time you are boomer-asked something, you'll go, oh, now I can tell the difference. You know what I mean? Sure, I mean, the opening of the conversation might seem innocent enough, but the next thing you know, you realize, hey, weren't you the one who asked me a question? And the other person is completely dominating. You see what I'm saying?
One of the examples they gave is, how was your vacation? Because mine was great. So you're going to give them a quick opportunity to explain theirs, but you're setting up right away, I want to tell you about my vacation.
I mean, this isn't a perfect science, but it's just something that...
you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
Definitely. And from the person, too.
Yeah.
That's just their routine. Because I know friends that actually would check in because they're, wanting to see how I'm doing. But I also know the friends that will text me, hey, what's been going on? And then I know that they're just setting themselves up to vent or rant about something to me.
Now I'm starting.
This is a great... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, now I'm wondering if I'm a boomer-asker. This is all new to me.
I don't think you are.
I hope I'm not a boomer-asker.
No, yeah, where you're trying to create a fake in just to tell someone something about you.
I don't think I'm a boomer-asker.
I've never noticed you do it.
Okay, I appreciate
And I think it's pretty obvious when people do it.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, Jesus gave a perfect one for me and Glenn Perkins. I asked Glenn, hey, when do you turn 50? Out of curiosity.
Oh, all right. That's a really good example. Okay.
I'm just wondering because I do on Thursday. That's a perfect example.
When do you turn 50, Glenn Perkins?
And I think he's, 42?
Yeah.
Early 40s somewhere?
42.
Yeah, that's a great example.
You do that, Josh, and I'll come back with... so what was your marriage like? Because I'm getting married on Saturday.
Yeah, well, tell us about your wedding.
And then Ashley can come in and say, hey, so you got a couple kids. I'm about to give birth to my first son. What's that like?
I'm not fat, I'm aerodynamic. Jesus said, do I hate people that ask questions just to answer them? Yes, I do.
Oh, God. It sounds like a lot of our listeners are familiar with this bit. So, again, boomer asking is when you ask someone a question just so you can talk about yourself. You want the question to come back to you, like a boomerang.
Ashley, did you ever notice that on dates? Where guys would ask you a question, you can tell they're not really listening to you. They're just waiting for their turn to talk to answer that same question.
Definitely, but I was actually going to mention that I think this is normal to do on dates because I've definitely done this on dates, especially if the conversation sucks.
Well, you're not necessarily asking them a question just so you can respond, though, right? You're trying to just get to know someone. You think you have a story.
I guess it depends. I'm like, all right, well, I have a story about a question I'm about to ask you. Let's see where you go with this.
But you're listening to that person.
Yes.
So that's the difference.
Okay.
You're not just throwing something out there for an excuse to talk.
Right.
Sometimes it has made me mad when they go on about a certain story, and I'm like, mine is so much better. Could you hurry up? Let's get to mine now.
Local 30.
Yes, Local 34.
Local 34, Jesus said, he does the opposite at work. He asks people questions so they talk and then hopefully get away from him as soon as possible.
That's smart, but that can also be really dangerous.
Common examples of boomer asking. Do anything fun on Saturday? Because I got a story for you. So you've been asked a question, but you're not even given the opportunity to answer until they pop into... Do you do anything fun on Saturday, Ashley? Because I got to tell you something about what I did. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they're not actually asking to know your answer.
No.
Yeah, okay.
No.
That makes more sense.
They're not allowing you. They're not listening to your answer.
A normal person would just skip asking the question and say, hey, I got a crazy story I want to tell you.
Right. Yeah, they're in boomer asking. By the way, it's not boomer like okay boomer. People like a boomerang.
No.
Because essentially you're waiting for it to come back to you. And so That's the difference, right, Ashley? Is you don't really care what they have to say. You're
Yes.
just trying to get yourself in there.
There
All
are
right.
there are many ways that people can sucker you into talking about themselves. This is just one of them. We used to know a guy around here. This was one of his regular gimmicks years ago. He would just say something along the lines. You guys probably remember. He would say something along the lines of, "Whew, do I got a night ahead of me?" Right?
So
And
it requires you to go, okay,
Right.
tell us about this night.
All right.
Boy, do I have a hell of a weekend set up.
Well, I'm trapped here now,
Yeah.
so go ahead and tell me about it,
Yeah,
I guess.
and then he would sit there quietly, and everyone would look around the room and be, okay, I'll bite. Okay, what do you have going on this weekend? It was just, that's one of the ways people, they just kind of, they throw the bait out there and wait for someone to bite. Boy, I'm telling you, I'm going to have some fun this weekend.
I have someone in my life that is so egregious with that I never respond. Like, I got a hell of a night ahead of me. I'm like, oh, yeah, good luck, man. And then just leave it at that. Never ask any questions, nothing.
Or you'll be there for hours.
Or just because it's aggravating.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to, why do we have to dance around this?
I got a friend who it's always a riddle. Always a riddle, and it drives me nuts. When I see him at the bar, he'll say things like this. I just ran into your buddy. And then I have to say, okay, who? You know what I mean?
Which buddy?
I
What's
hate
the
that. I hate that. Why does it always have to be a riddle? Why does it always have to be a guessing game? But that's just how he plays it. Probably a little bit different than what we're discussing, where people are, just trying to put the attention on themselves, just trying to give themselves an opportunity to talk about themselves. But that's also a little conversation quirk that drives me nuts.
Yeah, the fishing for you asking, okay, what's going on? It's different. It's similar but different than my cousin who we've joked about before, who always will go, question. But he'll also just stand there and wait for you to notice he's there, and it scares the hell out of you usually.
So
He'll
weird.
throw a question, and then he'll ask you a question.
My fiance gets boomeranged quite a bit.
He does?
Yeah, because of his job.
Does he work with boomer askers?
No, I'll I guess mention, oh yeah, or they'll say, what do you do for a living? And they basically already know. He usually has one of his jackets on that says what he does for a living. He's a meat wholesaler. And
Yeah, he is.
so he'd be like, oh, I sell meat for a living. And then it turns into them showing him pictures of all the meat that they cook and everything that they love about certain meat. And he's like,
Okay.
oh, all right, is this all you wanted out of this
But
conversation was to brag
Do
about
they
your meat?
actually listen to your fiance talk about his career, or they okay? Well, then that's a
Not
boomer
at
ask.
all.
Yeah, that's a boomer ask.
They're just waiting to bust out photos of ribs from their
Yeah.
smoker or some.
And
burnt
he's
ends
like,
or
all right,
something.
dude, I don't cook it. I just sell it, but all right.
Now, I don't know if this is technically a boomer ask. Because it's not a perfect science, and like I said, there's many ways that people prompt you into talking about themselves. But this is just one of my fondest memories from my neighborhood bar. This guy's such a character, and the answer, or the punchline, I guess, is so ridiculous. We still like to tell this story. Ashley knows that we like to play pocket billiards on Saturday nights over at my neighborhood bar. She and her fiance just joined us last weekend. And there's 5 or 6 core characters that always play, but every once in a while we get a straggler in there. And one of them is this ultimate goofball. He doesn't show up at my favorite neighborhood bar anymore because I think they told him to stay out. But it was just the oddest little bait he threw out there to try to get us to ask him about him. And then the answer was so dumb. Now, we're in Wayzata. Keep that in mind. We're in Wayzata. He comes over to play pocket billiards with us one night, and he says this. Oh, man, just got back into town. And everybody, that
Really?
that common response where everyone knows they're being baited and nobody wants to be the first one to bite. Mm-hmm. So we ignored it, and we continue to play.
Nice.
All right? 2 minutes later, he says, yeah, like I was saying, I just got back into town. And this time, we all kind of looked at each other, and one guy said to himself and kind of gave us a look that said, okay, I'll be the Huckleberry here. Again, the statement was, I just got back into town. And one guy goes, okay, from where? And dude says, Bloomington. Yeah, I was out. And we said, Bloomington? What the hell are you talking about? When you're in Wayzata and you came from Bloomington, the proper beginning to that story is not, I just got back into town. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Chicago, maybe. Milwaukee. Anywhere. Bloomington? No, that doesn't qualify as you just got back into town.
Well, it's just a city you pass through.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not a trip.
So like, hey, babe, what do you say we load up the car and head to Bloomington today? It's a fine place, but it's not a destination where you would say, I just got back into town.
No, man.
I got a question.
Yes.
What kind of boomerasking would it be if it was based on a mid-'90s infielder for the Minnesota Twins?
Ron Coomer-asking.
That's right.
That's right.
What kind of boomerasking would it be if it was supposed to be something that is true, or how about I'll do this one. Abnormal mass of tissue. What would it be?
Tumor-asking.
Tumor-asking. What if it was very funny?
Humor-asking. I'm telling you, if we ever play this game for real on the air, I will emerge the grand champion.
Oh, no doubt.
Definitely, yeah.
What if it's something someone is spreading around that might not have any
rumor-asking?
What if it's from somebody that just thinks they know all the answers? Maybe this isn't a word. They just assume they know it. Presumer-asking.
Oh, presumer-asking. Yeah, I've never heard the word presumer, but I just love that that Ron Coomer got a mention in this.
It's the first one I thought of.
Oh, man. So there you go. Be on the lookout for those folks.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Put it in reverse, Terry. Put it in reverse.
93X rocks.
Oh, Lord, please.
93X.
All right, Josh, how many of us have them?
Friends.
It's not friends.
Oh, jobs?
No, apps.
Apps?
How many of us have them? Apps. Are you always busy downloading apps to your cellular device?
I got a handful that I use, and I don't remember the last time I downloaded a new one.
Ashley, downloading apps.
I like to download some new ones every now and then.
Tell me
check them
about
out.
some of your favorite apps.
My favorite apps. Nothing too crazy. I use a pregnancy app quite a bit now.
What do you do on the pregnancy app?
You can see what size fruit your baby is every week.
Oh, what's it at now?
Right now, I believe it's a lemon.
All right, pregnancy app. Any others?
Yeah, I guess my favorite apps would be like the typical ones. Instagram.
Yeah, you got to tell me because I'm just not familiar. I mean, I have them on my phone, but I don't. Go ahead. So what are the typical ones?
Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, well, X now.
Yeah.
Tumblr. I do have quite a few food apps, too.
I have 0 of those apps you just mentioned.
Okay.
Oh, that makes sense for
I'm
you.
also not involved in any of those. Food apps?
Yeah, like I have a B-Dubs app, McDonald's app. You can get points if you order through the app, stuff like that.
There's so much. There's so many possibilities.
I like to have as few as possible.
You do?
Yeah, I'm just kind of anal that way.
Okay.
I've downloaded a couple random ones every now and then, like an 8-ball pool app. That can be fun. I bet you'd get a lot of joy out of that, Nick.
So it's like playing a pool video game?
Yes.
That sounds like fun to me.
How many pages do you have?
Oh, it stresses people out because I don't organize my apps. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Oh my
9,
God.
10, 11. 11.
My wife is the same way. She's got just pages and pages.
It's hard to not be. You do what I do, Josh. If on the iPhone, if you just swipe up, you can punch in like the first 3 letters of an app, and you find it right away.
Yeah, I have 1 page. I can't imagine having 2 pages. That's like clicking on the second page of a Google search. You're not supposed to do that. Nobody does that. That's crazy talk right
I'm
there.
so jealous. Yeah, there are some apps on here that I definitely don't use anymore that I could get rid of. But what if I need them?
By the way, Stillers fan Jesus texted in to say that his mother says that he stayed a lemon. You have a pregnancy app that will tell you every day or every week what fruit your child has grown to the size of.
Yep.
And lately, it told you it's at a lemon size. That's very interesting.
I was wrong, too. It's actually now at a peach.
A peach.
Next is avocado.
Okay, it goes from there. There are some very strange apps. I mean, Ashley sounds like she's pretty dialed into this kind of thing. Josh and I, not so much. There are some very strange apps that we can discuss this morning on the program. These are supposedly actual apps you can download to your cell phone, starting with the Nothing app. And as the name suggests, this app does absolutely nothing. When you launch it, you see a blank gray screen with nothing written in the center and nothing else.
What is the point of that?
I don't know.
Nothing?
Just maybe stop some distractions or to
Just
make people think you're insane.
Show your friends, the Nothing app, I imagine it's just a quick punchline. The Plumber Crack.
Now, this one I'm tempted to get.
Okay, so it sounds like a little bit of a video game.
Yeah.
In Plumber Crack, you have to toss ice cubes into a plumber's ass crack. That's it. That's the whole game.
In real life, you might get a plunger to the face, but this sounds kind of fun, actually, the plumber's crack.
I think I've mentioned this before. When we used to have those big, long, miserable concert festivals back in the early days, Josh, we'd have to go out to some massive field and put up with 3 or 4 days of live shows. Sometimes we'd get lucky and there were some great acts, but sometimes it wasn't so great. We would keep ourselves entertained, and we never got our asses kicked for this, although we probably should have. We would find a guy sitting in the field and enjoying the show.
Minding his own business.
Right.
Yeah.
We would find a guy whose ass crack was hanging out the back of his shorts or pants, and it was a challenge to drop a quarter perfectly down that individual's ass crack.
That's fun.
Yeah. So Plumber's Crack is another app you could try. Electric Shaver.
I could see this being fun for a prank.
This simulates shaving. It simulates the act of shaving on your phone.
Yeah, so if it could adjust when your phone moves, kind of like a regular shaver, right? How the sound is different. It'd be fun to go up behind somebody, put it on their head, and have them hear the shaver.
Oh, yeah.
I could see that being kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking about these with my fiance, and he said that the shaving app, he said those remind him of OG iPhone apps. Like, there was a lot of apps like that. There's, before, the flashlight was a thing where you could pretend you had a flashlight, or you could make it like a regular phone, like an actual phone you have against the wall, and put that up to your ear. Just really basic apps.
I like your idea, Josh. I like the idea of using the shaving app to mess with somebody. Hey, we got music in the background. Does anyone know where that's coming from? Because there's no one in the other room running the board.
Yeah, the computers died over there.
Oh, this is a jam.
So where is this even coming from?
So I just got this other one to work while we're sitting here.
You're playing the music.
So I got another computer
We've
going
had
here.
a massive technical meltdown in the building. We'll do the best we can.
Well, earlier it smelled like smoke. I don't know if it's related.
Yes.
And it was out of the main studio.
Is there a fire anywhere?
It must be related, because Josh isn't kidding. An hour and a half ago, we smelled smoke, and now we've got a bunch of things that aren't working. Okay, more of these weird apps that you can download on your phone. By the way, back to the electric shaver app. Yesterday, I was shopping Summers, and I saw a little bottle of Electric Shave. You remember that product,
No,
Josh?
I've never. What is that?
It's an aftershave.
Oh.
And it's called Electric Shave. Just like, what are some of the other popular aftershaves? Maybe Old Spice, or Aqua Velva. It was so 1981 that I saw this bottle of Electric Shave. I didn't think it was still the thing. All right, the next app is called Send Me to Heaven, or just SMTH. Now, this is a game where you throw your phone in the air and it calculates the height of the throw. Cell phone companies must have come up with this one, so we'll buy new cell phones and spend more money.
This would be fun, though. I could see myself really liking this.
I like to do it with children.
Oh.
Same type of thing.
So you and your friends can enter a contest to see who can throw their cell phone the highest. And obviously, maybe you'll get lucky and catch it the first time, but you're going to shatter your phone into a million pieces. I don't know. How tough are those cell phones? Could they take a decent fall?
If you got an, what are they called? OtterBox? I bet you have a pretty good chance.
I've got a really good case.
Okay.
If you drop this
It depends the way it lands, right? If it lands on its screen, though, you might be SOL.
Check that out if you want. SMTH, send me to heaven. Is this next app called $10 million or $1 million? I can't read this.
Oh, I cannot.
I thought it was $1 million.
$1 million. Okay. This app is called $1 million. If you ever wanted to feel how counting $1 million feels like, or what counting $1 million feels like, this app will help you do that. You can choose to count the money out in either 50s or $100 bills.
That sounds kind of fun, actually.
I guess.
Probably take a while.
I think I'd lose interest rather quickly. I Am Bread.
I've played this.
You've played I Am Bread.
Yeah, I believe I played it on my Xbox. I think you can also get it on your Xbox.
All right. I Am Bread is a simulator. We're rolling through weird apps you can put on your cell phone. I Am Bread is a simulator in which you control a single slice of bread, which is on a mission to evolve and become toast. You'll have to skillfully move the bread from its confines in the kitchen, take it across a bunch of different levels to achieve the goal. It has to go into the toaster. So what does the bread have to dodge? I'm picturing silverware, sponges and rags, ants, things like that.
Yes.
That sounds kind of fun.
If I remember correctly, it was a lot harder than I expected it to be. Very hard to control the bread.
Pluck it.
This is up my alley. Yes.
Oh, I thought of you right away.
Oh, I love
could see you
plucking
doing
hairs.
this.
Yes.
Pluck It is a game you can play on your phone where you literally pluck hairs.
So fun.
You've tried this?
I haven't tried the game, but I've tried it in real life. I just love plucking hairs.
It's not painful when you pluck your hairs?
No, I'm used to it because I've plucked my eyebrows since, as long as I can remember.
You get accustomed to the pain.
Yeah, I'm immune to it.
How about the nose? Come on, you're not a cyborg.
Oh, that would hurt.
No, I've actually never done that. I've never dealt with any hairs in my nose.
You've been lucky. I'll have
That'll
one.
make your eyes water.
Oh, I'll send you backpedaling when you pull one out of your nose.
I can't wait.
So I'm guessing this game is tailored to folks who like to watch pimple popping. I'm just guessing. Would you simulate the two, watching pimple popping shows?
Yeah, I agree. It's similar.
Yeah.
Do you watch pimple popping television programming?
They kind of make me sick. I enjoy doing it in my own life, but they makes me sick to watch like the big ones. Ugh.
Okay, no, I couldn't. Not for 2 seconds could I watch that on television.
There are apps where you can do that as well, but I specifically left them off this list because I know how much you hate them, Nick.
Places I've pooped. Now, I have heard of this app.
Poop Maps. That was a big one for a while.
Poop Map. So that's the name of a specific app.
That was the one that was really popular for a bit.
In case you're new to this, this app is for tracking where you've used the bathroom. You drop a pin wherever you've defecated, like marking your territory. Other people that have the app can see where you've been. Okay.
They should call it a loaf or a log instead of a pin. Don't you think?
It's genius, Josh.
A loaf.
I know some people who were really into that for a while.
I have not heard a bowel movement referred to as dropping a loaf, I think, since I was in 7th grade. I appreciate that very much, Josh. Instead of a pin, you should be dropping a loaf.
I don't think I'd be interested in this game, but I do think it's pretty funny.
Here's another app. You can go ahead, download it on your phone. This one sounds like a test of endurance, a test of stamina. The game or the app is simply called Hold On. And the objective of this game is to hold a button down on the app for as long as humanly possible. The longer you can hold on, the higher your score will be. So you end up with a thumb injury or a cramp in your
tunnel.
Tennis elbow.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
You gotta be kidding me. Who greenlit this garbage?
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Josh, are you planning on watching an ass load of television programming this weekend like you always do?
Possibly. We're kind of running out of shows. There's a couple movies I think we want to watch. Although, what was it called? I got to look this up.
Long Train Running by the Doobie Brothers.
No,
we played it on air a couple days ago.
Not that. We just talked about it yesterday with
Amanda Seyfried?
Long something River.
Yeah, we started that last night, too.
Well,
Long Bright River.
Yeah,
so
I wrote that down.
we want to give that a shot this week.
I wish you wouldn't. because it'll straight up kill you dead, according to what I was just reading about. These days, they say if a selfie doesn't kill you, your television set will. Watching television these days, and this is nothing wildly original. We've been hearing this for years, but they're pushing it on us again. Watching 2 or more hours of television a day may be a key factor in developing things like heart and blood vessel diseases, dementia.
Oh.
Who are you, Josh? Who are you? What's your name? Dementia, obesity.
Jack Reacher.
Look at you, obesity.
Yeah, you point that out every day.
You got to try to limit. You got to try to limit this stuff now. We can't be losing you now.
Well, I'll tell you. I thought I looked at this and it did make me a little nervous, but I don't watch it every day. Mostly just on the weekends. But at the same time, I'm sure you could throw in that I'm very sedentary.
Sedentary.
Very, but I'm doing other things, right? Reading or whatever I'm doing sitting down.
You may not watch 3 hours of television a day, but you might cram 15 hours worth of it into a Sunday.
That's right.
Right.
So that's you. Friday nights, Saturday nights, we go for it. I'd say probably in the 5 to 6 hour range.
Yeah, I'm screwed if this is true.
Well, there's always some type of monitor in front of all of our faces, it seems like.
Yeah, that's true. That can't be good for us.
I actually watch very little television until around, 8 o'clock at night. Then I catch whatever ball game I'm interested in. I'm still, during the day, Saturdays, Sundays especially, it's music. I just have music going. I'm just not a sit and stare at a television guy. Maybe I did so much of it as a kid that now I just don't care, which doesn't make any sense, really, because when I was a kid, there was literally nothing available to watch on television, and now there's 10 million different things you can see at all times, but I just don't do it.
I think you don't watch new shows, because you mentioned you watch a lot of reruns, and then if you watch a game, that's 3 hours right there.
Well, I watch about a half.
So you don't have
a half
time
hour
to catch up with new shows.
I think if you understood how to operate streaming services better, you'd be more apt to watch more TV.
I don't think I would. I really do enjoy. I just enjoy music more than I enjoy television.
I love people like that.
Have you ever noticed anything, Josh, when you're sitting in front of the television, like for the 5-6 hours on a Sunday? You ever had an irregular heartbeat?
No, nothing like that. But every once in a while, we'll have a reminder of how lazy we are when Netflix is like, bro, maybe stand up. What are you doing? Why are you watching so many episodes? And then my wife has a smartwatch, and it'll go off sometimes asking her why she hasn't moved in a few hours.
Do you chug caffeine most days?
Just here. I never drink it outside.
Never
of
at
here.
home.
No.
Okay, because I was going to ask. You sit watching television and you're pounding Mountain Dews. I was going to say, how do you not have an irregular heartbeat? You know what I mean?
No, it's just here. But I go for it when I'm here a lot of times.
Is there any chance that your television habits have added to your constipation issues?
Yeah. There's a good chance.
I mean,
that's why I hit the treadmill every day. I mean, a lot of my activity is just so I can take a dump. I mean, drinking water and stuff like that, it's not based on trying to be overall healthy or to look good or anything. I just want to poop. That's it.
Is it possible that your calves, everybody knows that your calves are yoked, right? Is it possible that your calves are the way they are because of some blood clotting?
Yeah, it's just swollen from the blood down there.
One of the most freaky, bizarre things that's ever happened to me was when I was on my first honeymoon in stupid, overrated, filthy, disgusting Honolulu, Hawaii. And we were young, and we liked to drink. And I sat myself down on an admittedly uncomfortable bar stool. I don't know what time it was, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And we sat there until about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I must have been dehydrated because I don't recall making many trips to the bathroom. Or at least I must not have made a trip to the bathroom for quite a stretch of time before we decided, okay, let's get out of here, go back to the hotel, and do what newly married people do. I could not walk. When I got off the bar stool, I could not. My legs were swelled and slightly discolored. And I could not. It wasn't an I can't walk because I'm drunk. It was an I can't walk. I somehow, sitting on that, again, it was a kind of a goofy-shaped, uncomfortable bar stool. I couldn't make it work. And I never went to a doctor about it. It never happened again. And I certainly, since then, have had long shifts at the neighborhood bar.
You said it was uncomfortable. Did you realize my legs are falling asleep when you were sitting down?
No, I certainly noticed how uncomfortable it was. But I didn't notice a damn thing until we got up to leave. And I said, I can't do this. So something happened. I shut off my legs. I shut off blood flow to my legs somehow because I was on this bar stool for so long.
I didn't know that could happen until just 2 days ago. My dog was laying on me, and he's 140 pounds. And I tried to get up, and I'm like, oh, my leg's kind of asleep. And I had no idea until I tried to get up. And then I took my first step, and I stumbled, and my knee hit the ground. So it was dead. My right leg was completely dead.
So it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't that your leg was asleep. It was something else. It was like a
I wasn't, nothing, everything felt fine. I wasn't uncomfortable when I was laying there, and I got up, and all of a sudden my leg said, F you, we're not awake yet.
Weird.
This Hawaii deal, it wasn't until the next morning that I was concerned. Like, what happened there? That should not happen. You should be able to sit and sit and sit and sit and not have that experience. It was really, really strange. And like I said, I haven't had it since. Who knows? Never went and saw a doctor about. Another bizarre story I could tell you that's somewhat similar, and it has to do with long periods of sitting and drinking. So maybe alcohol has played a role in this. Dr. P. Jesus isn't here right now to help us, but a good friend of mine sat and drank for about the same amount of time, 12 hours. He was up north at a cabin with friends, and he turned purple. He turned purple. I'm talking near Oompa Loompa from that movie. What was that movie? Willy Wonka.
Oh, man.
He turned purple. He didn't feel different, but he looked different. Everyone at this, they were kind of sitting at a table playing cards. Everyone kept asking him, dude, are you okay? What do you mean? He says. Well, you're turning kind of, in the end, he was just purple.
Even his face?
Yes.
That's mind-blowing.
Especially his face. He has pictures.
Oh, I'd love to see them.
You won't believe it. People took pictures of him, and typical donkey, whatever at the time he was, 35-year-old guy, he never went to see the doctor about it. He never asked any questions about it. And like my paralyzed leg syndrome, it never happened to him again. But it was just a weird effing thing. What must have been drinking related.
Every once in a while, I have to sit way back in my chair because if I kind of sit halfway on it, it'll kill my legs. I've noticed that around here.
Yeah, that happens to me too.
Happens to me every time. And Josh helped me out here. Even if you can't relate, even if you don't have a similar story, maybe agree to this anyway so I don't feel funny about it. My nuts go numb.
Okay.
What?
Yep.
That's what I was going to say instead of legs, but I was afraid to get made fun of. Yes.
Now, you're not just playing along to make me feel better.
I swear that's exactly what I meant when I said legs.
Yeah.
Because my legs, too, but the nuts go completely numb.
Ass cheeks, too?
No, not my ass cheeks.
Okay, if I
sit on the edge of my seat sometimes.
I'm doing it right now.
Because I'm just anticipating what's going to happen on the show.
Right.
So I'll sit on the edge of my seat, and all of a sudden I'll realize I can't feel my nuts.
Yep.
What in the world?
And they go numb, and it's uncomfortable.
For me, it's ass cheeks and nuts. No sensation
so
down there whatsoever. We do have a lot in common.
Dana, did you say that happens to you, too?
Yep, absolutely.
I guess I'm like you guys, or like you, Nick. I kind of just ignore when things start to go numb. Like, I've had a problem for, as long as I can remember, if I walk for a long time, like part of my feet go numb, and then for some reason, like my core is numb. And I have no idea. I'm probably never going to ask the doctor about it. But maybe it's because maybe you're like me. I don't really want to know if something is wrong.
Well, sure, you avoid the problem.
Yeah.
That's a part of being a grown-up now.
Yeah, I mean, if it eventually gets better that day, then who cares?
Ladies are texting in saying their vaginas go numb when they sit a certain way.
I've never had that happen.
Never had a vagina go numb on you?
Maybe I just haven't noticed.
Okay, you would think you would notice if your vagina went numb.
I'm not really aware of how it feels at all times, I guess, like you guys would be with your balls.
You lose track of it?
There are girls texting in. There are plenty of guys texting in saying, yes, my nuts go. But girls have texted in saying their vaginas will go numb if they sit for too long in a certain position.
Oh, that sounds not fun.
I'm emotionally numb. You with me?
Oh,
we were all agreeing on so many things.
No, we are. We're all emotionally numb,
Yeah.
Josh. You're not the only one. All right.
And you know what's funny? There's people texting and saying, you know, thanks for this conversation. Now I'm normal. They were worried about the nuts thing. Yeah, that happens. That almost every day that happens.
Yeah, me too.
What?
Yeah, sitting on. I have very uncomfortable. I got a little bar area in the house, and that's where I do my show prep for hours and hours. But you know what can I do? I'm the best. You know, I mean, people tell me I'm the best. So my bar stools are also very uncomfortable, hard and uncomfortable. They're cheap. I didn't feel like spending any real money on the bar stools. I should have. And, of course, I'm too lazy now, and I procrastinate too much to replace them. That's when my balls go numb, when I sit on my $9 bar stools down and do show prep. That's when the nuts, they just, it's like they're not even there.
Some people are recommending you sit on one of your hands until it goes numb, and then there's some wild ideas. Something called the stranger?
I've never heard of it.
The stranger.
Well, I'll sit on one hand and use the other to Google what the stranger is.
I always preferred the term the blind date.
That's a good one, too.
Andrew Dice Clay said on a comedy record 35 years ago that sometimes he would allow his one of his hands to go numb, and then he would touch himself. And he called it the blind date, Josh, and he said, and then when it's over, he'd kick it off the bed.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You disgust me.
Yep.
Okay, there's a lot of references to my mom and nom. Don't do that. That is terrible. That's no way to start a weekend.
I considered going down that path, but I thought I would.
I skipped the first one. By the 8th, I thought we need to address this because you are misbehaving out there.
Yeah. Oh,
You're misbehaving, and shame on you.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Well, if it isn't our wonderful podcast listeners, the ones that all of us on Hams love the most. Dana here to give you a little gentle reminder to hit up our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and tune up that AC before it fully turns into crotch soup season. June through August are Standard's busy season for getting AC units up to snuff, so get ahead of the curve and have them ensure you don't have a summer where you pit out every shirt you own. Book in May during their pre-summer heat savings event, and you'll beat the rush and save yourself some walking around money. Call Standard Heating today or visit standardheating.com. Enjoy the show. We sincerely appreciate you checking us out each and every day.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Skins, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
No Contest Wrestling. O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Jefferson with the biggest names in the game.
Give it up for the Dark Angel.
First one.
First.
I can believe it.
NXT double champion. Welcome to King. Lex is king.
I don't know if I'd be where I'm at now if I didn't take the path that I took.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jada Parker.
What made you, after the soccer career, go WWE?
The answer I always have to that is like, why not?
The No Contest Wrestling Podcast, part of the Rich Eisen Podcast Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Half-assed morning show.
Due to some sexual content, parental discretion is advised.
On 93X.
Unfortunately, fist fights can go along with that type of a scene. There's always a few hard-ons out there that never grew up, so they start fights and then they go home and cry themselves to sleep. We simply asked the brother and sisterhood, so where'd you get your ass kicked? Nobody bats 1,000. Everybody gets whooped now and again. Where'd you get your ass kicked? Like what town?
Richfield for me.
651-989-9393 if you have an answer. Richfield, is that where you were like a 10-year-old kid and a 70-year-old hit you in the mouth real hard and your lights almost went out?
No, it's more embarrassing than that. Because I was probably a 15-year-old kid and an 80-year-old sucker punched me from behind.
Oh, that's
and
the
like
best.
in the cartoons, I was seeing stars. I was just the closest kid to him, and it was my friend that was talking trash to him, not me. I just was standing there, and I happened to be the closest. He got me right behind the ear.
This is before you and your friends started to follow the golden rule of don't be talking trash.
Yeah, at that point, a couple of them were talking trash. I was an innocent bystander.
Came around behind Cubby, little 15-year-old Cubby, and smoked him right in the jaw.
Yeah, well, I was standing kind of like just over to his left. He was behind me. Never saw it coming. Nothing. And it took me a while. It was just like rush hour. Which one of y'all kicked me? I had no idea where that came from.
Were you in pain, or were you just so stunned as to what just happened you couldn't even feel it?
It didn't necessarily hurt. It was stunned. My feelings were a little hurt. And just I kind of felt like I was going to black out for a split second.
Did you roll?
I legitimately saw stars and birds around my head.
Did you roll a couple tears in front of your buddies?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
I was furious because I'm like, well, what can I do? I can't hit this guy.
Why can't you hit him?
Because he's like 80-some years old.
So what? He cracked you in the yapper.
Yeah, I don't know. have you ever been so mad because you wanted to act and you just couldn't act? You couldn't do something about it?
Yeah, you don't want to kill the guy.
I threw my bike and it was like, I was so mad. I half thought about it, and then I just walked away.
You threw your bicycle, and you walked away.
Oh, I was furious. And then I'm pissed at my friend, and I took it out on him later.
Because he's the one who
was the one that wouldn't shut up. The rest of us are like, all right, dude, let's just go.
I mean, it goes without saying, throwing down and getting in a fist fight, it's always a friggin' bad idea. Especially these days. Folks take it to a level that is so ridiculous. But, old war stories are fun. We asked you to text in. Just simply, you can give us all the details you want. Where'd you get your ass kicked is all we're looking for. 651-989-9393. Here's a few answers. And if we don't always get to your Jesus name, we apologize. Sometimes editing, we try to go so fast to pile up as many of these texts as we can before we go on the air. We don't always have time to get your name. You know who you are. Took a beating from an off-duty cop in Jordan, Minnesota. That was from You're Driving Me Nuts, Jesus. Took a beating from an off-duty cop. Here's one listener who says, I almost got my ass kicked in Mound. And then I remembered that town is full of a bunch of sissies, and I cleaned house. Got jumped by two guys in St. Cloud. Oh, my damn. Every weekend. Sometimes more than once. When I was living up there as a 21-year-old dude, we had to fight. It was so friggin' pathetic and stupid, and it was constant. So I know a thing or two about getting jumped on the streets of St. Cloud. The one dude came at us, Cubby, jumped out of the bushes, and he had his keys positioned between his fingers. You know that his car keys.
I had an uncle that taught us that's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, that's a good way to pluck somebody's eye out of this.
That's exactly where he said to punch.
Why would he want you to pluck somebody's eye out for him?
He's in prison, if that gives you an idea of the type of guy he is. He once beat a guy with a piece of sidewalk almost to death.
Yeah.
He's troubled.
I spent 2 years at St. Cloud State raising hell, and I never once got into a fight.
Things must have changed by the time you got up there because it's all we did.
I saw the fights, but nobody ever messed with me because one of the guys in our circle was a 6'4" tank from Bosnia who basically he probably had his first fist fight at the age of 2. Like this dude, nobody mess with this guy on campus.
The Bosnian playboy.
Yes, exactly.
Well, you're a big dude, so I'm surprised people don't want to mess with you. It seems like big bald, or now it's just big bearded Jared. He mentions that people mess with him all the time because he's a big dude.
Just because he's a bigger dude?
I would never mess with him, but he said that's kind of what happens. People get drunk and they want to fight the big guy.
One of our listeners got sucker punched on the streets of Minneapolis. It rearranged my face, he said. And his Jesus name is Irregular Curvature of the Nose Jesus.
That's great.
Got beat up 5-on-1 in Coon Rapids for talking crap on Facebook.
Went from Facebook to the streets?
Well, that happens all the time, it seems
I guess
like.
you're right, yeah.
Oh, God, it's so freaking stupid.
You would think by the time you decide to meet up with this person from social media, you would have calmed down and talked yourself out of it.
No, well, maybe you're sitting in the car and they just posted something new on your phone.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Blacktop Mojo Mofo Jesus, 1990. Got attacked from the back by some prick from Mora. Yes, he says it was a street dance.
What the heck?
Fatty Mac Jesus got jumped in Brooklyn Center right in front of his house. His dad came out in just tighty-whities and watched.
Oh.
The old man came out the house in his drawers.
It's like an episode of Cops.
Well, I suppose if you're grown, you don't take your medicine. Maple Grove, a couple of our listeners got their asses kicked in Maple Grove. One of them says that Maple Grove is where dreams go to die.
St. Bonifacius, sucker punched right off a bar stool by the birthday boy. F that town, they say.
It's his birthday. He can punch who he wants to.
You can't sucker punch somebody. I don't like the sucker punch.
St. Bonnie. Well, that's what St. Bonifacius, that's French for sucker punch.
This person said they're 6'4", 220 pounds. Every bar they walk into, someone wants to start S with them. That's what I've always heard from the big guys.
That's so weird.
Was your brother in that situation?
Never. See, I hear those stories, but, I mean, I hung out with some real gorillas, including my brother. Nobody ever stepped to them. So I hear these stories, kind of like the stories, you get hit on more than when you're married. I've never seen that happen. Sometimes I think they might just be old wives' tales.
I don't think...
yeah, that's
I get hit on
true.
twice as much married. Never seen that once. And I'm talking about not just me. I'm talking about all my married buddies. I've never seen any woman approach them ever.
Well,
Maybe that's for a different reason.
Well, it could be. Are you saying they're unattractive?
Is it the breast tissue that your wife talks about?
Don't start with the breast tissue.
Is it the breast? There was a time in my life where I was hit on once or twice, believe it or not. It sounds like a tall tale, but it's true. But I don't think I've been hit on at all since I got married, to the point where I kind of have a complex about it.
I mean, get hit on once or twice, fine, but there's so many guys who always say, oh, it's more when I get married.
Oh, yeah, they say it's like it attracts women.
That's nonsense. They say that out loud to make themselves feel better. Minot, North Dakota. Hot mom slayer, Jesus, got his ass kicked in mind rot. 1987, says another listener. La Crosse, Wisconsin. Oktoberfest. Got his ass kicked. This is insult to injury. Got his ass kicked, and then the cops told him to never come back again.
Oh, all right. I probably wasn't planning on it.
And you're laid out on the turf going, well, didn't you see what just happened? Why do I have to never come back again? Butcher's hack Jesus got sucker punched at Brainerd International Raceway. He says, I folded like a cheap lawn chair. I had it coming, though. I was terribly intoxicated. Got my eye socket broken by some douchebags in Mankato.
Oh, man.
7-on-1.
That's not fair.
I bet that hurts something awful.
7-on-1. He's lucky he was only in an eye socket.
Well, here's a person that disputes the thing about being married. Wore a wedding ring to a bar one night because I lost a bet. I swear I've never been hit on more in my entire life.
Yeah, I guess they've said, the psychology behind that is because it shows that, you're desirable.
Right.
You have the capability of taking care of somebody.
I've heard it a million times, and I still don't believe in it.
I got hit on a lot more when I wore a wedding ring.
Whoa. I don't think we dudes will hit on women. You could be in a casket and we'll hit on you. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's true.
I don't think
That's only like 4 weeks of your life, actually.
Right. I don't think you really can measure.
You're right. Yeah.
The same way. In a town called Emerson, Manitoba, one of our listeners got straightened out. Says, I got the snot kicked out of me in Emerson, Manitoba. My buddy picked the fight with a couple of guys because he kept asking them, so, you guys are from Canada?
What? Dude.
Is that where you're from?
You did that to yourself.
I've never heard that before.
No, it wasn't him. It was his buddy. You guys are from Canada?
715 Wild Man, Mild Man. Jesus said he got punched in the back of the head in Maplewood at a 311 concert. Nobody's ever mad at a 311 concert.
No, I thought
You're too
everyone was
high.
so stoned
Yeah.
they were just waiting for that song where the guy goes, chill. What was that one? Remember that one?
Yeah.
Chill. I got a this and a this and that and a this. Someone tell me what the Corcoran. It's a peaceful place. Corcoran really is a peaceful town. There's no reason anyone should be fighting in Forest Lake. A couple listeners texted in and said they got their asses kicked at divorce court.
I bet that's so.
Oh, man. Yeah. Try and behave yourselves today. Like I said earlier, fist fights are such a friggin' bad idea. Just the other day I was talking about my last fist fight on my 33rd birthday. Got in a fist fight at a bar on my 33rd birthday. That was the last legitimate fist fight I've been in. That was 20 years ago. It was so dumb, so stupid. And I'll never forget the look my girlfriend at the time gave me when we both woke up the next morning. You know, we got in this terrible fight, went home, went to sleep. The next morning she looked at me as if she was thinking, you are the stupidest son of a bitch I've ever met in my life. Because it was.
I've never been with a guy that gets into fights like that. That is such a turnoff.
It is. You're right. You're right. A few more text messages. We simply asked our listening audience, where'd you get your ass kicked? And they were free to add any details that they'd like to share with us. Big bucket mouth, Jesus says, I got jumped by 3 guys in Prior Lake. They broke the glasses right off of my face and then helped me pick up the pieces after they kicked my ass. That's a polite crowd down there.
I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
That's how fights used to be, right? Somebody lost, and then everybody kind of just shook hands and went on their way. You can't hit a guy with glasses, though.
No, that's not allowed.
How many nights when we were young and we were out together, when things started to get a little iffy at the bar, did you slide on a pair of eyeglasses?
That's the only reason I carried them around.
Exactly.
This person got sucker punched at Brookdale Mall, had braces at the time, and had to peel their lips off the braces, blood everywhere.
Ouch.
I accidentally punched a friend that had braces, and I still have a scar on my knuckle.
Right in the yapper.
Yeah.
One of our listeners this is not right, got jumped by a guy in an alley in Bemidji at 9 o'clock in the morning.
In the morning?
You shouldn't get your ass kicked by someone who still has eggs on their breath. You know what I mean? 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, there should be a certain time of day where ass kickings can begin.
Dodging.
Kind of like in The Wire, Josh, how they have that code where you don't do any business deals on Sundays.
The sun has to at least be fading.
Yes.
Before fist fights start.
Yeah, they have to be serving alcohol for more than an hour at that point. Dodging human turds, Jesus said he got his ass kicked by a 112-pound wrestler in Baudette. It was embarrassing because I'm 6'3" and almost 300 pounds.
Yeah, they'll just pull your legs up your own ass and sit on the back of your head. Yeah, that's what the wrestlers do. This is great. You know, we simply asked, where'd you get your ass kicked? One dude texted in and just answered, Mankato, Minneapolis, Cokato, Howard Lake, Duluth, Brainerd,
Buddy,
Rochester,
stop fighting.
Jackson, Fergus Falls, Detroit Lakes. Well, I don't know.
Well, maybe the list of places he's won is longer. We don't know that.
Yeah,
that's where he got his ass kicked.
You should see the wins. You should see his list of.
Boner Grower Sheesa said that her husband got headbutted at a Green Day concert, but the other guy broke his own nose.
Oh,
he doesn't know how to give a headbutt.
You got to know how to deliver a headbutt. Watch old documentaries on Jim the Anvil Neidhart if you want to know how to deliver a proper. And I don't believe this for a minute, Josh. Do you? A listener says, I was in South Central Los Angeles. I fought the neighborhood bully. His name was Debo. I wanted to use a gun, but my dad talked me out of it, and I had to hit him with a rock instead.
No, that's from a movie.
Is that a movie? Insurance
adjuster Jesus said that he got his ass handed to him in downtown Mankato by 2 chicks. Beat him up. Ooh, Mrs. Jeweler Jesus, Webb Lake, Wisconsin, after a St. Patty's Day parade. A case of mistaken identity where she was pulled down by her hair from behind. The next day, she had to comb out a clump that was just ripped out.
They remodeled your haircut for you.
Oh.
All right. This is something I accidentally stumbled upon yesterday. I stumbled onto a list here, a list of famous names on this drinker's holiday. I found a list of famous names, and I wonder how many of these folks, well, some of them are dead, I wonder how many of these famous folks are aware that they've made this list. Somewhere on the internet, I found a list of famous high-functioning alcoholics. Now, first off, Josh, do you know the exact definition of high-functioning? So does that mean you hit it hard, but you still make it to work, you pay your bills, you care for your children, and you're not a total ass to people?
Do you mind if I'm getting real here?
Go right ahead.
For several years of our relationship, you were a high-functioning alcoholic.
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you would qualify because you still honored all your responsibilities, and if somebody didn't know you as well as I did, they would have no idea.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought the general definition of high-functioning alcoholic is. Okay. Yeah, I know. I pushed it too far for many years, and you still loved me.
Of course.
So, again, I don't know the reasoning for this list. I don't know who put it together, but it's famous high-functioning alcoholics. Some of them alive, some of them are dead. And there may be some dark stories connected to some of these celebrities, and forgive me if I'm not aware of them. I'm not trying to poke fun at people with drinking problems. As you guys know, one of my closest friends recently died, way too young, and part of the contributing factors to his death was his issues with drinking. But it just struck me funny. Why would someone put this on the internet? Here they are. Daniel Radcliffe. Isn't this the dude who played Harry Potter?
Oh, what? Yeah. That's straight. He doesn't give me alcoholic vibes.
Okay.
I wonder when he started.
That's kind of where I'm going with this. It's like, okay, really? How do you know this? What? Bradley Cooper?
I can see that.
He kind of looks like he can put him away.
Yeah. Looks like a Scotch whiskey guy.
Everyone knows this. Lindsay Lohan. Wah-wah-wee-wah.
Yeah, she could throw him down back in the day.
I don't know. Would you call her high-functioning, though? That really seemed to affect her career and everything.
It's a good point. Mel Gibson.
He had some issues. Some pretty well-known ones. She should slow down. Leaving messages and the way he spoke to some cops.
I don't remember any of these. I remember that he was in trouble for a while, but I don't remember any specifics. He just running wild in the streets, starting trouble.
Yeah, he had some troubles.
Stephen King, the author, is he still around?
Yeah.
This one surprised me. I see this kid in movies. The last time I saw him was in a really, really, really bad movie called, what was the Von Erich movie again? The Iron Set of Nuts?
Iron Claw?
The Iron Claw. Horrible movie about the Von Erich. They say Zac Efron is a high-functioning guy. How do you have abs like that and be a drunk?
Yeah, I question that one, too, because he's talked about his training regimens for movies like Baywatch, where he's got his shirt off. He talked about how he would just basically eat like a vegetable a day and would just cry himself to sleep.
Oh, well, there you go.
Again, random list from the wildly random and misinformed internet. These are the celebrities that they put on a list of high-functioning alcoholics. Ben Affleck.
Yeah, it's pretty well documented.
Yeah, I could see that.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, see, I don't know that you should count this. I questioned this list for that reason. Like, a lot of them have been in rehab and stuff like that.
Rehab? Yeah. But at least at one point in their lives. Billy Joel. Michael Phelps, the swimmer?
I thought he only smoked weed.
Robert Downey Jr. Now, there's a celebrity I remember some stories. Not necessarily strictly about drinking, but it was drugs. Oh, my damn, was that guy on a tear in the late 80s, early 90s. Now, I do remember one story, and again, it's just a story. All of this is just internet nonsense. Take it as seriously as you like. But I remember a story about Robert Downey Jr., where he got so gooned up on drugs and booze, he woke up in a stranger's home in a child's race car bed.
What?
It's a hell of a bender.
Samuel L. Jackson? Shia LaBeouf?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's documented pretty well.
Andre the Giant.
Does anybody tell stories about that guy and drinking?
David Hasselhoff.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, another one. If you just peruse YouTube a little bit, you might see a video about a cheeseburger.
Yeah, him laying down topless with that cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Again, I curse him. I curse David Hasselhoff because he is the reason why I never watched Baywatch.
Oh, you missed out, man.
I know I did. I did watch that documentary recently about Baywatch, but that's how much David Hasselhoff's appearance just sickened me that I couldn't even leave the channel on all those gorgeous women running around in next to nothing. I couldn't even hang around for 30 seconds because of David Hasselhoff. Oh. Maybe if we met in person, we would become fast friends. Who knows? A few more text messages. We simply asked our listening audience, where'd you get your ass kicked? And they were free to add any details that they'd like to share with us. Big bucket mouth, Jesus says, I got jumped by 3 guys in Prior Lake. They broke the glasses right off of my face and then helped me pick up the pieces after they kicked my ass. That's a polite crowd down there.
I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
That's how fights used to be, right? Somebody lost, and then everybody kind of just shook hands and went on their way. You can't hit a guy with glasses, though.
No, that's not allowed.
How many nights when we were young and we were out together, did you, when things started to get a little iffy at the bar, did you slide on a pair of eyeglasses?
That's the only reason I carried them around.
Exactly.
This person got sucker punched at Brookdale Mall, had braces at the time, and had to peel their lips off the braces, blood everywhere.
Ouch.
I accidentally punched a friend that had braces, and I still have a scar on my knuckle.
Right in the yapper.
Yeah.
One of our listeners this is not right, got jumped by a guy in an alley in Bemidji at 9 o'clock in the morning.
In the morning?
You shouldn't get your ass kicked by someone who still has eggs on their breath. You know what I mean? 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, there should be a certain time of day where ass kickings can begin.
Dodging.
Kind of like in The Wire, Josh, how they have that code where you don't do any business deals on Sundays.
The sun has to at least be fading.
Yes.
Before fist fights start.
Yeah, they have to be serving alcohol for more than an hour at that point. Dodging human turds, Jesus said he got his ass kicked by a 112-pound wrestler in Baudette. It was embarrassing because I'm 6'3" and almost 300 pounds.
Yeah, they'll just pull your legs up your own ass and sit on the back of your head. Yeah, that's what the wrestlers do. This is great. You know, we simply asked, where'd you get your ass kicked? One dude texted in and just answered, Mankato, Minneapolis, Cokato, Howard Lake, Duluth, Brainerd,
Buddy,
Rochester,
stop fighting.
Jackson, Fergus Falls, Detroit Lakes. Well, I don't know.
Well, maybe the list of places he's won is longer. We don't know that.
Yeah,
that's where he got his ass kicked.
You should see the wins. You should see his list of.
Boner grower Sheesa said that her husband got headbutted at a Green Day concert, but the other guy broke his own nose.
Oh,
he doesn't know how to give a headbutt.
You got to know how to deliver a headbutt. Watch old documentaries on Jim the Anvil Neidhart if you want to know how to deliver a proper. And I don't believe this for a minute, Josh. Do you? A listener says, I was in South Central Los Angeles. I fought the neighborhood bully. His name was Debo. I wanted to use a gun, but my dad talked me out of it, and I had to hit him with a rock instead.
No, that's from a movie.
Is that a movie? Insurance
adjuster Jesus said that he got his ass handed to him in downtown Mankato by 2 chicks.
No.
Beat him up. Ooh, Mrs. Jeweler Jesus, Webb Lake, Wisconsin, after a St. Patty's Day parade. A case of mistaken identity where she was pulled down by her hair from behind. The next day, she had to comb out a clump that was just ripped out.
They remodeled your haircut for you.
Oh.
All right. This is something I accidentally stumbled upon yesterday. I stumbled onto a list here, a list of famous names on this drinker's holiday. I found a list of famous names, and I wonder how many of these folks, well, some of them are dead. I wonder how many of these famous folks are aware that they've made this list. Somewhere on the internet, I found a list of famous high-functioning alcoholics. Now, first off, Josh, do you know the exact definition of high-functioning? So does that mean you hit it hard, but you still make it to work, you pay your bills, you care for your children, and you're not a total ass to people?
Do you mind if I'm getting real here?
Go right ahead.
For several years of our relationship, you were a high-functioning alcoholic.
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you would qualify because you still honored all your responsibilities, and if somebody didn't know you as well as I did, they would have no idea.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought the general definition of high-functioning alcoholic is. Okay. Yeah, I know. I pushed it too far for many years. And you still loved me.
Of course.
So, again, I don't know the reasoning for this list. I don't know who put it together. But it's famous high-functioning alcoholics. Some of them alive, some of them are dead. And there may be some dark stories connected to some of these celebrities, and forgive me if I'm not aware of them. I'm not trying to poke fun at people with drinking problems. As you guys know, one of my closest friends recently died, way too young, and part of the contributing factors to his death was his issues with drinking. But it just struck me funny. Why would someone put this on the internet? Here they are. Daniel Radcliffe. Isn't this the dude who played Harry Potter?
Oh, what? Yeah. That's straight. He doesn't give me alcoholic vibes.
Okay.
I wonder when he started.
That's kind of where I'm going with this. It's like, okay, really? How do you know this? What? Bradley Cooper?
I can see that.
He kind of looks like he can put him away.
Yeah. Looks like a Scotch whiskey guy.
Everyone knows this. Lindsay Lohan. Wah-wah-wee-wah.
Yeah, she could throw him down back in the day.
I don't know. Would you call her high-functioning, though? That really seemed to affect her career and everything.
It's a good point. Mel Gibson.
He had some issues. Some pretty well-known ones. She should slow down. Leaving messages and the way he spoke to some cops.
I don't remember any of these. I remember that he was in trouble for a while, but I don't remember any specifics. He just running wild in the streets, starting trouble.
Yeah, he had some troubles.
Stephen King, the author, is he still around?
Yeah.
This one surprised me. I see this kid in movies. The last time I saw him was in a really, really, really bad movie called, what was the Von Erich movie again? The Iron Set of Nuts?
Iron Claw?
The Iron Claw. Horrible movie about the Von Erich. They say Zac Efron is a high-functioning guy. How do you have abs like that and be a drunk?
Yeah, I question that one, too, because he's talked about his training regimens for movies like Baywatch, where he's got his shirt off. He talked about how he would just basically eat like a vegetable a day and would just cry himself to sleep.
Oh, well, there you go.
Again, random list from the wildly random and misinformed internet. These are the celebrities that they put on a list of high-functioning alcoholics. Ben Affleck.
Yeah, it's pretty well documented.
Yeah, I could see that.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, see, I don't know that you should count this. I questioned this list for that like a lot of them have been in rehab and stuff like that.
Rehab? Yeah. But at least at one point in their lives. Billy Joel. Michael Phelps, the swimmer?
I thought he only smoked weed.
Robert Downey Jr. Now, there's a celebrity I remember some stories. Not necessarily strictly about drinking, but it was drugs. Oh, my damn, was that guy on a tear in the late 80s, early 90s. Now, I do remember one story, and again, it's just a story. All of this is just internet nonsense. Take it as seriously as you like. But I remember a story about Robert Downey Jr. where he got so gooned up on drugs and booze, he woke up in a stranger's home in a child's race car bed.
What?
It's a hell of a bender.
Samuel L. Jackson? Shia LaBeouf?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's documented pretty well.
Andre the Giant.
Does anybody tell stories about that guy and drinking?
David Hasselhoff.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, another one. If you just peruse YouTube a little bit, you might see a video about a cheeseburger.
Yeah, him laying down topless with that cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Again, I curse him. I curse David Hasselhoff because he is the reason why I never watched Baywatch.
Oh, you missed out, man.
I know I did. I did watch that documentary recently about Baywatch. but that's how much David Hasselhoff's appearance just sickened me that I couldn't even leave the channel on all those gorgeous women running around in next to nothing. I couldn't even hang around for 30 seconds because of David Hasselhoff. Oh. Maybe if we met in person, we would become fast friends. Who knows?
Can I hump your leg for 15 uninterrupted seconds?
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Here's a conversation that online folks have been having. They've been talking about what the weird kid did at their school. Oh, anyone want to start? What the weird kid did at your school? And, of course, we could be going all the way back to grade school. And most of this stuff is probably grade school stuff when kids are just bizarre little creatures.
You should set the mood with your story about the tree kid, Nick.
Yeah.
That's my favorite story you've ever told.
I have a few examples of what the weird kid did at my school. Now, this was high school. There was a kid at our high school who portrayed himself to be a ninja. He wore usually all black and kind of the military-looking camo, or not camo, but military-looking black pants, with a lot of pockets. And he fantasized that he was some level of ninja. And so what he would do was he would climb up in a tree and sort of camouflage himself up there. And then when we would walk by that tree on our way to the front door of the high school, he would say, "Psst, could have killed you."
So unsettling.
Oh my gosh.
And we would say, "Yes, Ernie, we know that you could. Yes, from that vantage point, with us not recognizing that you were in the tree, yes, you could have killed him." And of course, he always had throwing stars in his pockets and what was this thing, Josh?
The nunchuck?
No.
Oh, butterfly knife?
Butterfly. Yes, he always had a butterfly knife. That was his role.
I always wanted I had a butterfly comb my uncle got me for Christmas one year. It's one of my prized possessions.
Oh, that's so cool.
So what did the weird kid do at your school?
Oh, my God. That was
We had a kid that thought they were a cat, so they would just meow.
Did they legitimately think they were, or they just that was their bit?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. So, yeah, we used to have couches or kind of like comfier chairs in the library, and they would, sit up on those, like a cat would with their legs up.
Weird.
And then if you walked past, meow, meow. That was interesting. You get used to it, though.
Do you?
Yeah, after a couple times, there's the cat girl.
Oh, I had a couple. So we had a similar situation to what you had, Nick. The guy,
a killer ninja character.
Well, he wasn't quite a ninja, but this was when Kung Fu came out.
Sure.
And so this kid, Trevor Thomas, was always he would dress up like David Carradine.
Oh yeah.
And that's how he was barefoot.
Yeah.
And he was just like, every time he would see you, he would bow, and but he carried his on. He carried his on. He lived down where we lived, in down a dirt road. He would always walk up down there, and you just hear the Kung Fu music walking
so
with him.
He completely threw himself into that character. Yeah.
And then he would. But he would always get in fights, but he did not know karate.
Yeah.
But he would always jump in. He had to stance down, and he did all the moves and everything.
He could mimic what he saw on television.
Yeah, he got beat up a lot, though.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, you don't walk around with the Kung Fu vibe.
Right.
Without someone challenging that.
Yeah. And I think his brother was a nurse or something, so he's got his nursing pants on, so he could have the the baggy pants.
More
so
flexibility.
More flexibility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So he played the whole role. And then at the end of the day, we had another guy, Ben Harris. Ben couldn't, and this wasn't, his parents said that he had no neurological damage or anything. They don't know why he did that, but he couldn't walk into a room. He had to back into a doorway. Always.
Some kind of a phobia.
Right.
Okay.
Like he would, so he would he walked straight all day until he gets to a door, and he backed in.
And then once he was in the room, he could spin around and go.
Yeah, he backed in it no matter what. Bus stop, getting off the bus.
So
that's dangerous.
I know. He had to step
phobia,
down.
not like just joking around. It was a phobia.
We don't know. Like his parents said, like he's not like that at home. At home, he walks through all the doors. When he gets outside the house, he won't do it. Church, it was the same way. He would come to church. He went to my church. He was
Backing down out of a school bus sounds very dangerous.
Yeah, it does.
And wait, backing into the bus as well.
Backing onto the bus.
Do you know how strong your hamstrings have to be to back up on a bus?
You know, there is a movement now about jogging and walking backwards, to, like activating muscles you don't normally do. I was just reading an article on that a few weeks ago. On how, like, some people, they're getting they're working that into their training.
And they're injuring themselves, is what I remember.
Well, those are people who aren't athletes, because athletes have to run backwards. That's the whole training for us, is that use every muscle in your body.
Right, Josh? They're backing into bodies of water and turning their ankles.
Taking out other people.
Exactly.
Running into other people.
Because running backwards is, first of all, it's not normal. And secondly, it's not easy to do.
A couple of texts have come in on the topic. Well, lots of texts have come in on the topic. I'd say this one is probably the most qualified from More Anxiety Than Hair Jesus. They had a kid in their school that masturbated using pizza.
Wow.
That's weird.
No way. Was that one of those rumors?
Right, like the girl that used a Coke bottle in our middle school?
It was a hot dog at my
Hot dog at mine, too. Yeah, obviously at Jack's.
Did this guy go to high school with the Noid?
I missed the Noid.
I love
the
that
Noid
little
would
guy.
not approve.
Pizza was his masturbatory tool.
Yeah, was this at school or is this a rumor after school? More Anxiety Than Hair Jesus.
Was it a warm pizza?
I would hope so.
Pizza.
I'm pretty sure everybody has had this kid now based off of the text messages. And I did too. The one that would just run up and down the hallways to every class or to lunch and all that.
No.
Oh, we had that kid. He would like cinch their backpack up real tight and just sprint. Everybody else would be casually walking down, talking to their friends. There'd be one kid that would just sprint everywhere.
Running from bullies or wants to get a good seat? Or...
I'm not sure, but yeah, we've gotten quite a few texts on that too.
What about a squirrel master? This person says there was a kid in his sister's class who earned the nickname Squirrel Master because on numerous occasions he'd crawl around in various shrubs. This was in high school, and he would talk to squirrels.
What?
I was hoping it was a lot cooler than that. I take back my cool.
What did the weird kid do in Faribault?
You know what? I'm just sitting here thinking about it. I can't come up with anyone.
You didn't have any that spoke to the animals?
I can't think of one person I thought was weird.
That means it was you, Janelle.
Yeah, probably.
That's pretty much the answer.
All right, here's an example from the godless internet. This individual says the weird kid at my high school got into an argument with a pretty popular kid. Popular kid wanted to fight. And the weird kid told him, yes, I will fight you. But if I win, I get to keep your thumbs.
Oh, my God. What?
He said they did not fight.
No.
They did not fight.
Don't ever trust that challenge.
All right. Our listening audience had plenty to say, like Josh was telling you via text. One of the weird kids at my school says a listener would ask all the girls for their used socks because he had a foot fetish. Who here likes feet?
Nope.
I'm fine with them, but I don't have a fetish of any sort.
Not a fan.
High-rise gamer Jesus said the weird kid would pick his scabs and eat it. That weird kid was my cousin. I've got a couple of weird
Not
cousins.
if anybody asked, though, right?
We had a kid who would paint his entire hand with rubber cement. You know, that stuff that really hard glue, and then it would get hard, and then he would peel it off, and he would then nibble on it like that.
Oh, you had me into the last part.
Yeah, the first part was kind of cool.
Yeah, there were glue eaters out there. Glue eaters.
We had a glue eater.
And glue sniffers.
Glue sniffers, sure.
Yeah.
Josh, what did the kid do? You said he pick his scabs and
ate them.
And ate them.
Yeah.
Here's a weird kid who would pick his nose with his tongue.
Okay, that's different.
It's horrible.
Little Village Jesus said the weird kid was a Pokemon nerd who would wear Pokemon clothes, hats, had a box of cards at all time, play cards on the floor by himself in the halls. and he's now a Pokemon collector, and he makes $100,000 a year trading cards and has a live stream that's very popular.
Yes, I was going to say, I bet he's rich now.
Apparently so.
So I did all of that stuff until the monetize it portion. I was a kid that played Pokemon in middle school. Not making $100,000 a year on it now, though.
That's adorable.
Weird kid at my school, says a listener, a skinny kid, long hair, trench coat, who told everyone that he was a werewolf.
I remember a kid in 3rd grade trying to convince people he was from the sun.
Oh.
And I'll tell you what, he was very charismatic, and for a moment he had me. He had me for a moment.
I think everybody had the fake accent kid, that would start a new accent. But the one that stood out for me that did that in high school, we got this new kid in class, first day, and he's talking with this big southern drawl, just, hey, y'all, like he's from the South. We're like, oh, where are you from, man? And, that accent. He goes, oh, dog, I'm from Hastings.
Hastings.
We're like, Hastings, Minnesota, like 15 minutes from me. He goes, yeah, dog, from Hastings.
Word.
Oh, no.
And we're like, oh,
Word.
Do people talk like that? Yeah, everybody talk like this down in Hastings.
I've been to Hastings. I don't remember that.
Me neither.
All right, another listener texted in on the weird kid from school. During a bathroom break in 6th grade, the uncircumcised kid would pinch it off and fill it with urine like a balloon.
Oh!
What?
The topic is weird kids. I don't know how that qualifies.
I didn't think that was possible.
Pinch it off.
Did everybody else have the kids in the elementary school and even middle school that would just pull their pants and underwears all the way down to the ankles at the urinal?
No.
That was always funny.
Like, they did it as a bit?
No, I just think that's just how you go to the bathroom. You have to pull everything down straight to the ankles on the dirty bathroom floor in order to then lift the shirt up and do the butters where you tuck it with your chin, too.
Very little kids.
Yeah, when we were in, what do you call that first year? What's
Kindergarten.
that? Kindergarten. When we were in kindergarten, sure, there were a few kids who operated like that. What are you talking about, in high school?
No, I'm talking like 5th, 6th grade kids were still doing that.
Oh, come
Even
on.
that age?
Yeah.
I remember teaching my kid at a very young age not to do that. I mentioned before, I walked into a Chipotle, and right there's the urinal. There's a kid, probably 6, 7 years old by himself, and he was doing exactly that, and I turned around and walked out. I couldn't be in the same room.
No, you'll catch a case.
Exactly.
You catch a case if you ended up with a kid like that.
You remember your spiral notebook, Janelle?
Mm-hmm,
You used to write things in there like, I love Donnie, whoever
Right.
the star quarterback, whoever he was.
Yep.
And you'd write, what would you write in there?
Like your first name and their last name.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
Yep.
Or your
We're married
initials and a heart together.
You wanted to see what it looked like on paper.
Yeah.
With your crush's last name next to your first, of course. You wrote in there, Backstreet for life, whatever you wrote in your
right.
spiral notebook. But here's a weird kid who would snap the metal or whatever they are, aluminum spirals off the notebook and then pierce his ears with it.
I remember girls piercing their ears in class.
Me too, but not with that.
What's the word I'm looking for? Rough tools?
With pins or something.
Oh, pins, yeah.
Needles.
Oh, yeah, when we had home ec, the teacher had to deal with that quite a bit because we could learn how to sew, and so we were sitting there piercing each other.
We had a kid on the hockey team who was a really good player. He decided to self-pierce his own ear. The thing obviously got so infected, it ballooned up like a comical-sized clown-type ear.
That can kill you.
He had to miss games because he couldn't get the bucket over his head. He couldn't get his helmet on.
Oh, my God.
So he had to go to our hockey coach, who's one of the toughest SOBs we'd ever met, and say, hey, I pierced my own ear, and my ear is too infected to play hockey now. That had to have been a tough conversation.
There was about a month-long fascination when we were in high school of get drunk at the party and have someone pierce your ear for you with a non-traditional tool. And those who did it regretted it terribly, and so the trend didn't last very long. Okay, we got to get out of here. I wanted to tell you about one more weird kid. Plucked out his pubes with a tweezers and then put them on his desk.
Oh, yuck.
And blow him before he leaves.
Oh, no.
For you.
Right as I'm walking by with a sandwich or something.
For you. Bo Hunting, Jesus, he said he definitely had a girl in his class that would hiss like a cat anytime someone looked at her.
We knew the same one.
That's hilarious.
That's when you knew Hey, look, don't even start.
Hands off.
She is not invited to my birthday party.
What the hell? Thanks, Janelle and C. Willie.
Thank you, guys.
Guys.
Love seeing you. Thank you so much.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Well, if it isn't our wonderful podcast listener, the ones that all of us on hams love the most. Dana here to give you a little gentle reminder to hit up our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and tune up that AC before it fully turns into crotch soup season. June through August are Standard's busy season for getting AC units up to snuff, so get ahead of the curve and have them ensure you don't have a summer where you pit out every shirt you own. Book in May during their pre-summer heat savings event, and you'll beat the rush and save yourself some walking around money. Call Standard Heating today or visit standardheating.com. Enjoy the show. We sincerely appreciate you checking us out each and every day.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Skins, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1. Former MLB All-Star Sean Casey, a.k.a. The Mayor, keeps hitting it out of the park.
Take my 30 years of experience. Take the wisdom and knowledge I've learned from the failures when I got sent down my rookie year, all the injuries I had to overcome. Your mind is the most important tool you have in life. Be relentless. Keep charging. It matters how you talk to yourself, how you look at the world. That matters. We talk about that. I don't know. I'm fired up. Baseball's back, and it's going to be incredible. I love it.
The Mayor's Office with Sean Casey from Believe.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Nice.
93X.
Nice.
Josh, have you started doing any cleaning?
I have
for
yes.
spring. You know how folks get involved in that. You clean the salt and sand out the garage. You shovel up the mountains of dog feces out in the. You have started with some things.
Oh yeah, just last weekend.
Yeah,
we went for it.
Maybe you fire up the mower, a little bit of this and that. You get the mower.
Don't need to do that yet.
You don't need to tune up the mower?
Oh, tune it up? Get it ready to go? No,
Yeah.
It's fine.
Get it ready to go.
We got an electric one last year.
Oh.
Nice.
Fancy.
Oh, electric.
Yeah.
How's that work?
That's all right. I missed the other one, to be honest with you.
Miss that smell of gasoline?
Yeah, I kind of the one I gave you, Nick. I had that for many years.
Yeah, you gave me just a push mower, a gas.
Yeah, just your
mower.
standard mower.
Oh, okay, right. So you gave me that because you had bought an electric.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd heard good things.
So you don't need to. You just got. What do you have to do? Just charge it up.
Charge it, and you're good to go.
Charge it up.
Sharpen the blade.
Sure.
Easy enough. But yeah, we started some pretty good spring cleaning just last weekend.
I love doing spring cleaning.
I do
It feels
too.
so good.
I mean, I get I don't necessarily like to get off the couch, but it's
Right.
good to get that done.
Once you get started, then you're good, but it's the starting that's difficult.
Well, the thing about these yard projects I've realized, because I lived in an apartment from the time I was a freshman in college until about a year ago, I learned these spring projects, you got to do them every year. Like, you can't just do them one spring and then you're good. You got to keep doing them. And there's not going to be anybody that comes over and does it for you when you live in an apartment building.
That reminds me of something my uncle told me before I moved out for the first time. My uncle, also very lazy, runs in the family.
Uncle Wallet?
No, different uncle.
Oh.
This is Uncle Dan. Before I moved out, Dan said, hey, just so you know, when you move out and that cereal bowl you leave next to the recliner, now when you come home, it's gone. Somebody picked it up and put it in the sink. It's going to be there when you get back once you move out. He gave me advice like that. And he's also the same guy. I must have been 27 or 28, so he was late 50s. He called and asked me how to microwave a hot dog. Same type of guy.
So he knew some things. There were other
He
things.
had great
that
advice in some ways, yeah.
He was completely lost on other subjects. Yeah, it can be a massive pain in the ass this time of year. And then, of course, fall.
Feels good when it's done.
Sure. I was chuckling my ass off here reading some information about spring cleaning. And it reminded me of a couple of friends of mine talking about the garage specifically. It says here, if you haven't converted your garage into an Airbnb yet, that's a thing? Is that a joke, or is that really a thing?
I guess some people do that.
I guess it depends on the climate.
It'd have to be a hell of a garage to be able to advertise it online as an Airbnb, wouldn't it?
When I used to landscape, the company I worked for, they did a lot of rich houses, and there were some garages that you could easily move into, and it'd be nicer than your home.
Yeah, it'd have to be pretty fancy schmancy. Okay.
Up there in the Shorewood area.
Oh, yep.
Wood. Yeah, I've been out that way. If you haven't converted your garage into an Airbnb yet, there's a good chance it's full of junk. So 31% of Americans say their garage is at least half filled with clutter. And that includes 9%, and here's where I was picturing a couple of sorry-ass friends of mine. 9% said their garage is so full they can't even park in it.
I do know people like that, too.
I would go insane. I would have an instant meltdown.
My garage has been like that since we moved in probably a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now.
You're having trouble unpacking? Some people have trouble with the unpacking.
Well,
I'm
here's the
instantaneous.
thing.
You know this, when we go on a vacation or something like that, I'll unpack before we do anything else, and I'll put things in drawers.
Dude, I do the same thing, and I get made fun of for that.
So do I.
Sorry.
I hang things up.
I
just
cannot.
like things to be nice.
If it's a week trip or 2 days, even a one-day trip, I got to get everything back in its place as soon as I get home, where my wife is the opposite. So what are you saying now? Your garage is still choked with junk.
Well, it's finally getting better because with having a baby on the way, the garage needs to be cleared out so that some of the stuff inside
That's where you're gonna
can
keep
go
the
into
baby?
Yes, it can go into the garage. But the thing about this is that when we moved into the house in Coon Rapids,
Sure.
I told my fiance, hey, he had a bunch of stuff, a bunch of extra furniture that we weren't going to use. And I was like, let's get a dumpster because I know what's going to happen here. It's going to go into the garage and it's going to sit there for at least a year, 2 years. It's just going to keep going.
Right.
And he's like, no, that's not going to happen. Don't worry. We'll get rid of it once it's moved over there. Nope. Here we are a year and a half, 2 years later, and it's finally being done, though. So I'm proud of him for that, at least.
You have not been able to get into the garage since you moved in there because of the junk.
No, and I've never parked in a garage, so I don't know what that would be like.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it sounds
it's the way to go.
It's nothing but laughs.
Not brushing off your car in the winter.
That's one of my favorite things of living in the suburbs is being able to park in a garage.
Yeah, actually, anytime you talk about your garage situation, it pisses me off because I have to park on the street out of necessity. We just have one-car garage. I obviously let my wife have the garage. I park on the street, and you have a garage, and you still have to scrape your car because you're too lazy to clean the damn thing out.
we have a 2-car garage too.
God dang it!
Do you really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Dana, you're currently in a situation where you park on the street, you let the wife have the garage.
Yep.
It's a one-car garage.
One-car garage, yeah. About 1.5. There's no way you get 2 cars in there. It's good size, but yeah, it's just a 1-car thing.
So can you put stuff in the half, or is it not really a half?
No, there's tons of every yard equipment you could ever possibly picture, and a Metrodome chair in that garage too.
Nice.
Yeah, it is fun.
I had a 1.5-car garage at a townhouse I lived in, and I mean that was being generous.
That was just exaggerating.
You could fit the garbage and recycling in there, and that's about it.
9% of it. I'll get there. 9% of us is what I was trying to say. The garage is so full of garbage, junk that they can't even park in it. I've gotten a kick out of seeing a couple of my friends. You know, you're over at their place and they roll open the garage door, and it looks as if you should rush up and hold everything. You know what I mean? It looks like it's just going to tip forward onto the driveway. We should rush up and hold everything in place. I could not live that way. 24% of us say their garage is clutter-free. We No. We have a lot of junk. We do, in general, we Americans. And says here we use a significant portion of our home for storage. I have a great situation at my current home as far as storage. There's plenty of it. If you don't, you end up putting a lot of it in the garage, and that's how it starts.
I'd love a shed. Just don't know if it's in the cards.
I've had 2 already. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
I forgot about
Hopefully, Josh, when you get one, you can keep that sumbitch for years and years and years, as opposed to having a giant tree fall on it.
Yeah, I've learned to keep it away from trees after your experience. How long did you have that thing? About a year, even?
Something like that. And here comes a big, fat-ass, stupid tree out of nowhere, lands on the roof of my brand-new shed.
Didn't it take out a fence, too? Or maybe I'm thinking of another buddy.
The fence was too tough.
Was it?
2 trees came down at once. Once landed on the fence, and the fence said, I ain't going out like that. The fence was tough. The shed said, and just gave way like a zit on prom night.
There were no survivors.
Luckily, everything in the shed somehow was salvageable. Yeah, go ahead. Get that shed, Josh. It's beautiful.
Oh, I want one.
But just cross your fingers that Mother Nature doesn't want to bend you over one afternoon and take it away from you.
I have a shed, but the problem is that the garage is closer than the shed. So I'd rather just put stuff in the garage or in a closet somewhere.
Oh, I'd take full advantage of that shed.
There's a couple things in there, but I did not put them in there.
The extra junk, that's a conversation at my house a lot. Whether I think people have too many clothes, and sometimes I'll point out my area of the closet, your area of the closet. It's ridiculous. I want to offer tours just so you can see how much stuff I have compared to the 2 other people I live with. It's ridiculous.
Do you at least have a section in the master bedroom in which you get to put your clothes, Josh?
I do.
I do not.
She has that many, or you just don't have the space?
3 closets in the master bedroom area, and all my clothes and dresser is in one of the guest bedrooms.
Hey, Dana.
Yeah.
Don't be a punk your whole life.
I wish that was my life.
Don't be a punk your whole life. Stand your ground at one point or another. That's ridiculous.
My God, I have so many clothes compared to my fiance. It is ridiculous. And I just got rid of a bunch, and there's still so many.
I'm going to have you guys over this summer. At least I'm going to invite you, and I hope you show up.
Yeah, you keep teasing us with that, and then it never happens.
Well, because all of a sudden, be like, all right, here, we're going to have you guys over, and my friggin' living room flooded. It's always it's always these big things that happen.
Or you catch some Brazilian disease that...
Oh, true.
That no one else in town...
That's canceled 2 things, right?
Yeah, you catch some disease every 2-3 months.
Yeah, exactly. So there's always been... But I really want you guys to come over, and I'd love, if you want to see it, I'd love to show you my area compared to the family's area.
So you encourage folks quite frequently, hey, you could probably get rid of that. You could probably get rid of that.
All the time.
Yeah, me too.
So here's an example. Like, a buddy of mine's a contractor, and right now he has a place he's working at, and they can't keep a dumpster. So I said, you can throw it in my driveway. I'll just pay half and then get a bigger one than you need, and I can chuck some stuff. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah. It's always great to have a dumpster on your property.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But my wife, I can't make decisions on it, right? Like, I can't. I've told her before, if she's like too tired when she gets home from work or whatever, I'm trying to get her to help me out. I can't just decide, unless it's my own stuff, I can't decide in the house what we can get rid of.
You got to, as a friend of mine would say, you got to clear it with the War Department.
I do, yeah.
Yes.
I have to run it by her.
The War Department. So that sucks, so you sit there in limbo.
Yeah, so we started, and so I'll say, because all this, she'll say, oh, we might need that someday. Like, we've been married 17 years. We've never used it, ever. There's no way we'll need it. We'll just buy a new one if that's the case.
People are nuts. This is a great text message from Butcher's Hack Jesus talking about some of us, our entire garage is filled with junk. Butcher's Hack Jesus says, the only way his garage is still standing is because of the junk. The junk is holding his garage into place. Without the junk, the garage would go.
That's load-bearing junk right there.
Right.
You know what else we have? We've got, so most of the stuff we have is really, so my youngest, my wife, and my stepdaughter. My oldest, Cam, he's like me, we're minimalists. We just don't really have a lot of stuff, don't really want a lot of stuff.
Right.
But so my stepdaughter will do things like, hey, like she'll leave our neighborhood or something. Somebody's giving away a big chair. It's just sitting there. It says free. Can you guys grab it for when I move out? So we've got a garage that's half full of all this furniture. Mice are living in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been sitting there forever, and I keep asking, is this ever going to leave our garage? Can we please get rid of this stuff? And we have a storage facility for that as well.
You have a storage facility somewheres in town.
That I'm tired of paying for, yeah.
You know, your stepdaughter could move in with me if she wants to.
You got to knock that off. You're married. She's a little too young for you.
Dude.
But this August, supposedly they'll be renting a house where I can just get rid of all that stuff.
So you can send
I can't wait.
Send all of her garbage over to the new house she's moving into.
Her garbage can go to her.
I'm so glad you brought up the idea of putting something. How often do you ever put something out on the, how do you call it, the end of your driveway, on the sidewalk, whatever, with a free sign on it?
I've never done it.
I haven't either.
Okay, I've done
Usually I'll just bring it to whoever accepts whatever that is.
Throw it away. Well, yeah, sure. I think I've done it a couple of times. Nothing, not often enough to where I have any idea, any memory of what those items were. But I have a recent adventure on that subject matter. So the wife tells me, she says, what did she say now? She said, hey, I'm selling these stools on
Facebook Marketplace?
No, keep going.
Well, Craigslist?
My Neighborhood Showdown or something?
Oh, shoot.
Neighbors
with an N.
Banging neighbors. Whatever.
Next door.
Next door, yeah.
Next door, that's it, right. She says, I'm selling these stools that were in our house on Next Door. So can you bring them out to the end of the driveway for me? The people who have agreed to purchase these stools will be swinging by, right? I said, okay. So I put the stools at the end of the driveway. I went on with my life. I think I went downstairs in the house. And then I heard some activity upstairs. I decided to walk up and find out what's going on. Turns out the people who agreed to purchase those stools and who had already paid for it via Venmo or whatever, right?
Yep.
They came over to pick them up. Some bitches were gone.
No.
Yeah. So they come to the door. My wife had a conversation or an email conversation, whatever, with these people, and they agreed. They had already paid via Venmo. They're just going to roll up, put them in the vehicle, and leave with these stools. But instead, they had to come to the door. They knock on the door, and they say to my wife, well, where are the stools? And she says, well, they're right there at the end of the
What?
She wasn't like watching the stool. She was in her bedroom doing something. And so somebody snatched those stools off of our property because they thought we had put them out there as if to say, go ahead, take these. We don't want them anymore. No. There was no sign that said free on the damn things.
That's usually what you do.
Yes, and I just said, what the hell is wrong with people? You don't. Yes, they were on the end of my driveway, but they were still on my driveway.
Well, I've got some stools they can have. If you want to contact those people, I'll send a picture, and they can have mine.
So I'll talk to the wife, the War Department. So these people drove away all disappointed. My wife is kind of slightly creeped out by the whole thing. Maybe an hour or two had gone by.
Whoa.
And somebody rolled by, saw the stools, and thought, well, they're at the end of the driveway. They must be giving them away. And they took them. There was no free sign on them. That just aggravated the balls off of me.
My mom did something like that once. She called me and she said, oh, I got this set of golf clubs. Somebody had it at the end of their driveway. Do you want to pick through them? And I asked her, was there a sign that said free or anything? No, but clearly they were giving them away. I was like, Mom, I don't know about that.
They might be getting ready to load the car up with their clubs.
You should have checked this out a little bit further. But yes, I will go through them.
To ask your mother if she was on the high side of Wyzetta recently. So, I mean, it was just aggravating that somebody would do that, but we're all so friggin' different now. And we, the stools were in decent shape. My wife stood to make a few bucks on the damn things, but the deal is off because some bonehead snatched them right off our property.
I mean, I could see the confusion. I bet if they were up closer to the house, they wouldn't assume they were for free.
I'm sure you're right.
But at the end, I could see them being confused. I could see that being a completely innocent mistake. Thinking,
but if there is not a sign that says free on them, why would you assume maybe I'm just giving these stools some air?
Beer brewing and drinking Jesus said he had a buddy trying to get rid of a fridge. He put it on the curb with a note that said free, nobody touched it. So he told him, hey, it's because people think free means broken. So his friend put a $10 sign on it, and someone stole it immediately. I've heard that before.
Good idea.
I've heard that, and sometimes maybe you price something higher than it even should be, and then that's kind of what gets people to go for it.
I'm sure you're right, Josh. I'm sure if they would have been a little closer to the front door of our home, nobody would have walked up and taken them. And so my wife was kind of kicking herself. She's like, God dang it, why did I tell you to bring them so far down the driveway? We should have just been. I said, don't be badgering yourself over this. It is absolutely wrong and ridiculous that anybody took those stools without a free sign on them.
They probably thought they hit the jackpot that day.
I hope they fall off the stool and get a concussion somehow. That just aggravated the... One more statistic here for you, and this one also had me chuckling earlier. We started this conversation on the junk that we keep in our garage. Some folks loaded with so much garbage and nonsense because they're hoarders or for whatever reason. They load it up with so much junk that they can't even get a car in there. So let me see if I can throw this statistic at you and make it clear to you. 71% of people have bought something they knew they already had because they couldn't find the original. You follow what I mean by that, Ashley?
I'm sure I've done that.
Hey, where the hell is that popcorn maker? I don't know. With all the junk we have around the house, I don't know. But I know it's here somewhere. They just went out and bought a new one because they couldn't find the original.
I do that with the spices all the time.
Yeah, sure.
My wife does that with groceries. She doesn't look before she goes to buy stuff.
Oh.
And the other day we had like 40 apples. And I do have an apple every day because I'm trying to keep Dr. P out of our building, but it's not working.
Apple a day, they say.
And then she's done that with like yogurt. There's stuff that goes bad, Like we can't have all this stuff here.
Why can't she make that mistake with Doritos or
it's gonna last a while.
Snicker bars? We're overloaded with apples and yogurt. Oh God!
I get it though because there's nothing worse than getting home after the grocery store and realizing you forgot something that you desperately needed. Because I'm not going back. I'm not doing all that.
I've got some stuff, Nick, I'd like to put at the end of your driveway if it's that good at getting rid of stuff.
Yeah, it's
decent stuff. I just don't want to
It seems to work. If you want it gone, put it at the end of my drive. Listen to these people. Bucknuts, Jesus. End of the driveway is free game.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that.
No, you're wrong.
I mean, honestly, I might think the same thing, that it was free, or it was on its way to, like the Epilepsy Foundation in Minnesota. They take clothing and stuff like that.
You don't just assume it's free because it's towards the end of my driveway. No, I'm sorry.
Where I grew up in Minneapolis, sometimes like your car parked in the end of your driveway, some people thought that was free. Our garage was broken into enough because it was in the back and the end of our driveway.
Jesus criminy, what's the matter with you people?
Our neighborhood has one of those buy nothing groups where you post things online. You're saying, hey, I'm either going to throw this away or donate it. Could anybody put use to it? A crock pot or, similar things like that. And sometimes my wife will put things on there, and it's like, do we really want somebody coming to our house that wants a used set of measuring spoons?
Yeah, I don't know why you're communicating with all these complete strangers online in the first place.
And then I'll be taking a nap, and somebody will be coming to the door to get, like an extra package of paper plates or something. Do we really want these people knowing where we live and showing up at all hours of the day to get random knickknacks from us? It's kind of a little unsettling.
Yeah, stop communicating with all these strangers. You're going to get yourself killed.
And it reminds me, too,
of that was a little dramatic.
It was, but no, it reminded me of another story, though, back in the day, speaking of communicating with strangers online. When you do things when you're young and you look back and you're like, how did I survive that? I used to communicate with grown men and meet with them at, say, the gas station to exchange wrestling VHS tapes, trade them.
Yeah, Dana.
When I was like 12 years old, riding my bike to a Burger King to exchange SummerSlam old VHS tapes with strangers. How I didn't end up in the back of a trunk dead, I'll never know.
You have been hurt.
That is so sketchy, dude.
I know. I mean, the early days of the internet, too, actually, when there's like zero protection or able to track these people down or suss people out, I would just, he's got WrestleMania 10? Yeah, I'll go meet you at Snyder's.
Man, I'm surprised you didn't end up on Dateline.
We usually will just go like to the police station.
That's what I've heard is a new thing.
They'll let you
seems
do
a lot
that.
more safer than meeting a random dude at a fast food joint.
Or you can use one of those like Amazon locker deal situations that they got going on.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure if you can use like actual Amazon. I just know that they're like that. They're those kind of lockers. My grocery store has some.
Listen to this.
For just selling stuff online or donating stuff?
Yeah, for selling stuff.
I never heard of it. That's great.
Yeah.
We got people arguing back and
So
forth.
smart.
People arguing back and forth on our text machine about, what's the international waters on your property? What's the neutral zone? If you push an item to the edge of your property, is it free game? I'll go to my grave believing that it better have a free sign on it before anybody takes it away. And again, these stools I was telling you about were at the end of, not on the curb, not on the street. They were on my driveway. Yes, it was the end of my driveway, but they were still on my driveway. And somebody took them, and there was no free sign on them. We meant to sell these stools, and people are going back and forth. Listen to this story. Neighbors stole all of my son's toys when he was lining them up at the end of the driveway.
That's horrible.
Little kid, I'll put my gorilla doll here. I'll put my 4x4 truck here. Little kids doing little kids things, and neighbors took them because they thought they were friggin' free. My wife and I had to go up and down the street getting all of his toys back from the people in our neighborhood.
That's awful.
What? We work in a building where no matter what, it's free game. It hasn't been as bad, maybe because we went from like a couple hundred people to 36. That could be a part of it.
All the stealing?
All the stealing around here was ridiculous. There was it was never where, I could see how somebody would assume that was up for grabs. Like if there's 40 cupcakes sitting on the big table outside the studio, if you walk by, you could probably grab a cupcake. But when we had the Xbox, the TV, headphones, we've had so many things stolen around here. It's crazy.
The sex doll?
Oh, yeah, the sex doll. That was an expensive sex. We never even got to consummate the relationship.
That bums me out every time it gets brought up.
Top of the line sex doll. Top of the line. For how many years ago was this now? 15 years ago?
Yeah, at least.
Top of the line, best sex doll you can buy. Josh and I spent hours selecting her appearance.
We made rules about who could use what half and things like we had shared custody.
Beautiful. We were going to destroy this thing. Sometimes individually, sometimes together. And it was stolen right out of the building. Not a word. Still a complete mystery. So many of you are texting in saying, the end of your driveway or the front of your property is free game. Now, are you just trying to piss me off? You don't really believe that, do you?
I think that's kind of common.
It is.
Without a free sign on it.
So
I would never do that.
I wouldn't, just in case, for that reason. But I could see somebody innocently making that mistake.
That's insane. You're insane if you think you can just grab something off someone's property without a free sign on it. You're insane. Here's a guy who said, it's my friggin' property. There are no international waters. Another listener says, someone takes something off my driveway, I'm going to snap their D off. But you really do think, the people who are texting in, you really think that just because it's pushed to the front of my property and there's no sign on it that it's open game? You got to be nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. That texter that said it's my property, that should be enough. It's on my property still.
Right. You got to be nuts.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93X.
Well, if it isn't our wonderful podcast listener, the ones that all of us on Hams love the most. Dana here to give you a little gentle reminder to hit up our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and tune up that AC before it fully turns into crotch soup season. June through August are Standard's busy season for getting AC units up to snuff, so get ahead of the curve and have them ensure you don't have a summer where you pit out every shirt you own. Book in May during their pre-summer heat savings event, and you'll beat the rush and save yourself some walking around money. Call Standard Heating today or visit standardheating.com. Enjoy the show. We sincerely appreciate you checking us out each and every day.